until Friday. Right now, it's 68 degrees downtown. Inside Sources coming up next on KSL.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. One girl isn't expected to survive after she was hit by a falling tree while having a beach day with friends at Pineview Reservoir. Brooklyn Gill was one of the first people on scene. She tells KSL she saw the tree fall from the wind and ran over to help, seeing the 13-year-old girl.
Very pale, very blue. I wasn't able to find a pulse when I arrived. I could just tell from what I saw that it wasn't very good.
The parents of the girl have released a statement saying she is on life support until her organs can be donated. Another girl had her arm broken. That girl's mother posted on social media thanking everyone who came to help. Voters in Box Elder County are now weighing whether or not to re-elect two of the county's commissioners after they voted to advance a major AI data center project. Box Elder County Commissioners Lee Perry and Boyd Bingham are both facing challengers, Nathan Tueller and Vance Smith, in the upcoming Republican primary election. The deadline for voters to turn in their ballots is 2 weeks from today. Utah's become known for producing ninjas. That's people who compete in American Ninja Warrior. KSL got an interview with the host, Akbar Gabajabiamila, saying there will be a twist this year, something Utahns are excited to tackle.
It's going to look like a track meet. So we're bringing the track meet to Ninja Warrior. We're showing these ninjas and putting them in this position where they're going to have to compete with that high pressure.
There are actually 14 Utah natives competing this year. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 135 points to 50,921. The Nasdaq's down 195 points to 25,734. Coming up, you may want to bring an umbrella today. KSL Weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
From the FIFA World Cup to competitive business environments, grand ambitions lead to game-changing achievements. At Bank of America, we're there to support businesses at every step, providing insights and expertise to help you gain an edge.
He shoots, he scores!
What would you like the power to do? Explore winning business solutions at BofA.com/gamechangers. Bank of America, official bank of the FIFA World Cup 2026.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org. 1 in 5 Utah kids face hunger. And the summer months make things even more challenging because families can no longer rely on school meals to help them get by. These days, the situation is more dramatic than ever. That's why Utah Food Bank is again holding its annual Summer Business Food and Fund Drive, encouraging organizations of all sizes to gather food for donations for families. Beginning in early June and running through the end of August, The Summer Business Food and Fun Drive is your chance to make a difference for families seeking emergency food requests to help stretch their budgets. Rally your coworkers, friends, or a community group of any size to make a collection. Every dollar earned turns into more than $7 in the form of goods and services to help those in need. What are you waiting for? Organize your Summer Business Food and Fun Drive today. To find out more or to get ideas for your own DIY fundraiser, visit utahfoodbank.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
The last of the delays on I-15 working their way out. Still a little slow on southbound I-15 just after 7200 south of Midvale. Northbound I-15 slow from the north interchange up into Murray near 5300 south. And just a touch of slowdowns on northbound I-15 at 13th south. Southbound I-15 still just a little slow in the Warm Springs Road area down towards 600 north. And eastbound I-80, that right lane still very heavy from Kimball Junction over to the Highway 40. Give Dad the biggest hugs ever this Father's Day with a Minky Couture blanket. Save 50% with promo code KSL50 in stores and at minkycouture.com. The best blanket ever. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast today. The high will be 76 with about a 30% chance of rain. It'll stay in the 70s until Friday. Then it jumps up to 86 Saturday, back to 90 degrees. Right now it's 68 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Local control versus federal control. Who wins? Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County are teaming up in a new lawsuit against the federal government over the proposed ICE detention facility on the city's west side.
Yeah, local elected leaders, both city and county, say the facility is not only inhumane, but would put an unnecessary strain on resources here in Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City, like water and other public utilities.
And in a bit of an interesting twist, members of the Salt Lake County Council say they were not informed or consulted on the lawsuit. In a post on social media, the council said it had some pretty serious questions about the mayor's objectives, legal strategy, and the costs associated with the new suit.
Yeah, before we get to that, let's talk about the suit itself, and maybe even before that, talk about how we got to here.
Sure.
Department of Homeland Security and ICE purchased a 833,000 square foot warehouse on 45 acres in Salt Lake City's west side. It was a big warehouse. I don't remember what it had been used for, to turn that warehouse into an ICE detention facility. Early, we'd learned that it may house as many as 7,500 prisoners. Now they're saying it will be somewhere between 7,500 and 10,000 prisoners. So this is a huge endeavor. They purchased it. It was sort of moving down the tracks. It seemingly was moving forward. Recently, well, there's certainly been a lot of contention about it. There have been a lot of protests, a lot of people concerned about how this happened and how we got here. But as yesterday, Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County both filed a lawsuit against Department of Homeland Security and against ICE itself to do two things, and I'll talk about the lawsuit more in just a minute, to vacate and set aside the purchase of the warehouse, just set aside the whole purchase, and in the meantime, to enjoin any attempt to repurpose the warehouse. In other words, stop the construction, stop any demolition, stop anything that would be in furtherance of turning this into a detention facility.
So one of the things that's interesting to me is there hasn't been any environmental impact analysis to the city's knowledge. The Salt Lake County Health Department has not been consulted regarding the public health impacts. Look, we talked about this before, where water, for one thing, sewage capacity, right? I mean, you're talking about this facility would hold at least twice as many people as the nearby Utah State Prison, but it's not set up for that. It was set up to be a warehouse.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. The Environmental Policy Act wasn't followed according to the lawsuit. Not only that, but the Administrative Procedures Act was not followed. That is because these two agencies are administrative agencies. They have to follow the Administrative Procedures Act. And the city and county are also alleging that they violated the Congressional Budget Impoundment Control Act. In other words, hey, Congress had to weigh in on this before you did something so big. So, yeah, they're suing under a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act in that these agencies didn't follow their own procedures to do this. like you just indicated, Holly, the National Environmental Policy Act and the Congressional Budget Act. So they're going at this from multiple angles and talking about a lot of things that this warehouse would do that Salt Lake City is just not in the position to accommodate.
And I think one of the things that's interesting, too, is to remember that the new head of DHS, Markwayne Mullen, has quietly even stepped away. First of all, he stopped all further purchases. But I saw in the news just in the last day or two that he is saying we're not actually going to go through with the sale of some of these. So I didn't see Salt Lake specifically listed, but I know it's a thing where he's been concerned about what was happening under Kristi Noem. And if you remember, when they bought this warehouse, it was for $145 million or something like that.
Right.
Something like $50 million over what it was valued at.
Yeah, so it was a heck of a deal for the owners of it, who probably were very happy to get it sold. Let me just tell you some numbers about this that are mentioned in this lawsuit. The warehouse was set up for 100, 200 or 300 employees, and was set up to consume 5,600 gallons of water a day.
Mm-hmm.
Under the construction, the way it's planned now, it will use 2 million gallons of water a day. I mean, it's not even close, and the sewage is much the same. That the sewage that would come out of that would be many times what the system was set up for. In other words, they'd have to build entire new lines, water, sewer. They'd have to repurpose the entire thing to make it accommodating what could end up being not just 10,000 inmates, but you've got to figure another 1,000 or 2,000 staff. Exactly.
Yeah, and there's other impacts as well, right? So parking and roads, and it's not certainly the retrofitting would take a significant amount of construction work, and then you have the traffic, you've got already poor air quality, and then you've got to have law enforcement.
Yeah, and you figure in Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City are both under a severe drought right now.
Yeah.
What is an additional 2 million gallons of water a day due to that? I mean, it can't possibly.
Well, where
be
does
good.
the water come from? Even
Right.
Where does the water come from? So it's interesting. It was interesting to me to see that the county council, which is majority Republican right now, they're saying they didn't know anything about the lawsuit until after it was filed. So that is interesting. So Amy Winder Newton, who is on the council, she's the chair right now, actually, of the county council. She said this on X: while the mayor has the authority to initiate litigation on behalf of Salt Lake County, the council has the responsibility to provide oversight of taxpayer dollars on all matters that could have significant financial implications for county residents. And then again, they have questions.
That was probably an oversight by Jenny Wilson. I mean, you can't just do that. I mean, she may have thought that this was such a potent issue that everyone was going to be on her side. Notwithstanding that, you can't just file a lawsuit on behalf of the county without consulting your own counsel.
So why was it not just on behalf of the county mayor? Right. I mean, I guess that's my question. If she can do it, why didn't she say, well, this is on behalf of Salt Lake County mayor?
I don't think she can act on behalf of them. She has to act on behalf of the county itself.
The whole county.
Yeah, I mean, she's just a figurehead, but the county and the city are the plaintiffs in this, not the.
I don't think that Mayor Wilson would appreciate being called a figurehead. I'm just saying.
No, I know, but for the purposes of a lawsuit, she is. I would say that, and I love Jenny, and I love both of our mayors, but I would just say that you can't, you don't sue in your individual capacity, or even in your capacity as an elected official. You sue on behalf of the agency that's harmed by the conduct.
So what happens next?
Well, the lawsuit's filed, and it's big, and I would assume that because they're trying to enjoin any further development there, this has to be heard on a pretty fast track. It's filed in federal court because there are federal agencies that we're talking about and federal rules of procedure that we've talked about. So I think it'll be held pretty quickly. I'm assuming the judge, and I don't know who is assigned to the case yet because it was just filed, will schedule set a scheduling order. For example, they'll say to DHS, you need to file a response by July 15th, and let's have a hearing on August, whatever. And everything is enjoined probably in the meantime, but they'll move this on a fast track just because there's so much involved here.
All right. Well, that's not the only development in news regarding ICE. Coming up on Inside Sources, we're going to take a closer look at the agreements between ICE and several Utah law enforcement agencies. We'll be right back.
I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Don't face the IRS alone.
I was self-employed and I got behind on my taxes. And then 1 year became 2 years and 3 years and $116,535.47 to be exact. It just became overwhelming. Finally, I went to another tax company and they were more interested in how good they were than helping me. I heard about Jordan and talking to the other people who'd done and been in the same situations that I was in, and their tax problems seemed just like mine. And so I went to Jordan and it was amazing. They were able to negotiate it down to $5,200, and life became wonderful to me.
Don't face the IRS alone. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com to schedule your free consultation. That's endtaxworry.com.
I will be forever grateful.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Ever wonder why I say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate? Well, we are the world's most northern manufacturer of spas, and we are built for the cold climates. We are just more heavy duty. It is commercial grade, but built for your house. We use fiberglass instead of ABS plastic. We use thicker, stronger, better insulating covers. We use our heat lock insulation to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and protect the equipment. Arctic Spas are designed to last longer and be less expensive for you over the long term. Arctic Spas are known for their water care automation with our automatic saltwater system and our automatic pH control. We have it, no one else does. This makes it easier and more enjoyable for you to own an Arctic Spa. Find the perfect Arctic Spa for you at arcticspasutah.com or visit any of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. That's why we say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Does your denture look like a denture? Generic teeth, an unnatural smile, dentures that move when you eat, speak, or laugh? At Grandpa's Dental, we believe your smile should look like you, not a denture. That's why every smile is designed by our experienced doctors and handcrafted in our in-house laboratory. With 47 years of experience, we create smiles that fit your face, your personality, and your natural appearance. And if you're tired of those loose dentures and messy adhesives, today's fixed implant supported smiles provide a secure, beautiful solution that looks, feels, and functions like natural teeth. Ask about our smile upgrade opportunity. Full arch fixed implant smiles start at just $11,999 with some of the most affordable implant pricing in Utah. Your smile should be remembered, not your denture. Grandpa's Family Dental. Our business is dentistry. Our legacy is you. Call 801-262-2040 or visit grandpasdental.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
the ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
where survival,
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled UINTA, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, a dozen Utah law enforcement agencies have now signed agreements with ICE. These are federal agreements 287G, which provide collaboration between local law enforcement and ICE when, for example, when individuals are detained and they're held in a jail. It allows for collaboration between law enforcement and ICE in terms of letting each other know who they've got, what they're doing with those.
So those deals have been in place for a few months, and I know that KSL investigators were wondering how they were working.
Yeah, KSL investigator Danielle Rivera says most agencies aren't really talking about it. Here's her story.
Showing up in force to a Utah County Commissioner meeting last month,
I want to first ask how ICE is actually going to help.
These Utahns had no shortage of questions.
Are we actually demonstrably safer because of ICE's increased presence here?
About their sheriff's ongoing partnership with ICE. They're looking for a 12-letter word.
We need some transparency.
Transparency. It's a word Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith used as a reason to sign the agreement last summer.
The importance to me as the sheriff to be able to have transparency with ICE so that we are now on a playing ground with them that I can coordinate.
12 Utah law enforcement agencies have now inked agreements with ICE saying they make Utah safer.
In reality, that's just not the case.
Molly Karasik, an attorney with the ACLU of Utah, isn't convinced. Karasik and Communications Director Aaron Welcher say their organization has prioritized tracking these law enforcement contracts with ICE, known as 287G agreements.
What we've seen is a lot of secrecy when these things are already operating.
The KSL investigators wanted to know how these agreements are working in Utah. We sent written questions to all 12 of the Utah agencies that signed 287G contracts. We asked why they signed, how the agency works with ICE in practice, what benefits the agency receives from the agreement, and what feedback they've received from the community.
Those questions go off of the basic functionality.
Only 6 of the 12 agencies provided answers, and only 1 agreed to speak with us about it on camera.
To me, this is not an issue to talk about.
Weber County Sheriff Ryan Arbin says he found it important to speak with us about their agreements with ICE because transparency is a goal of his agency.
It's not ICE telling us what to do. These are our terms and conditions.
There are 3 main types of 287G agreements: the jail enforcement model, the task force model, and the warrant service officer. It's not uncommon for an agency to have multiple agreements. Weber County signed both the jail enforcement and task force models.
Operation of the jail really hasn't changed from before.
Under the task force model, he says they can only take someone into custody for their immigration status under specific circumstances, like they have a criminal history or the federal courts have already ordered their deportation.
It's not designed to go look for or participate in anything like a raid or go find someone. It's literally in the course of our normal business.
Do you feel like this department really does get something out of these agreements for Weber County?
Yes, it's public safety.
But why weren't Utah's other agencies willing to answer questions about these agreements? To find out, KSL Investigates filed several public record requests for agencies' internal written communication about our request. In Tooele County, we learned the sheriff's office drafted responses to send to us, but ultimately told us they wouldn't be commenting. At the time, 9 months into their agreement, their draft answers revealed the agency had yet to receive any training from ICE.
To know or to, have a sense that they're actually not receiving those trainings it's extremely problematic.
In Riverton, emails show the mayor recommended responding. Riverton has no comment and no information to share. And at the Utah Department of Corrections, while they answered the written questions, emails show a spokesperson alerted the governor's office about our request for an interview and the department's decision to deny it, writing, quote, "The topic is problematic." What do you make of that reason to not do an interview and tell the public what's going on?
They said the quiet thing out loud. They are problematic.
As we scoured the contracts for clues about why Utah agencies are being so tight-lipped, we kept seeing this, a section that makes it clear agencies can release information to the public and the media about what they're up to under these agreements only after getting permission from ICE. While we don't know whether that influenced agencies' decisions to stay silent, the Utah County Sheriff's Office denied access to public records we requested, saying they're maintained by ICE.
My name is Daniela Rivera. I'm an investigative reporter with KSL 5 News.
So we took our questions to Utah County commissioners last month, who were considering a request from Sheriff Smith to now allow his agency to be paid by ICE for their services.
Are you concerned that these agreements limit the sheriff's ability to communicate freely with the citizens of Utah County?
The commission approved the sheriff's request, but we didn't get an answer that day. Neither did any of these people. Here, for a little transparency. We'll continue to dig for answers for you about how these agreements are working between ICE and law enforcement agencies in Utah. If you want to read the responses from the 6 agencies that did answer our written questions, you can find those now on KSL.com.
So what she's talking about, Holly, is that 12 Utah law enforcement agencies have agreements, these 287G agreements with ICE, and further that they're sort of broken down into 3 categories. We can maybe talk about those a little bit here. There's the jail enforcement agreement, the task force agreement, and the warrant service agreement. So let me just talk about those briefly. Jail enforcement simply means, as I understand it, that when a person is in custody that has immigration issues, that the jail will cooperate with ICE.
Right, there's coordination, yeah.
They get in trouble with that because what happens is, and not necessarily in Utah, but in other states, they get in trouble when they hold an individual past the time they're supposed to do their time. Let's say they get 30 days in jail. On the 31st day, they're supposed to release them. Some agencies think that because of their jail agreements, they have to continue to hold them for ICE. You can't just hold them. So that's something, I think what the agreement really means is that you just notify ICE, hey, we've got a person in custody here. Then there's the task force agreement, which allows that some agencies can actually go out with ICE agents and do arrests and do interdiction, do investigation. And then there's the warrant service, which is basically if there's an ICE warrant, they will typically not allow local law enforcement to serve that warrant. If you have the 287G agreement and there's an ICE warrant, your officers sort of become quasi-ICE officers, and they can execute those warrants, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And, I think from the beginning, people have had heartburn about these agreements, and you heard it in Daniela's story, right, where people are saying what actual benefit is being provided to the community here with these cooperation agreements. It really strikes me, though, that especially in Utah County, which is my county, the sheriff there, Sheriff Mike Smith, said when he was signing these agreements that it was all about transparency. But when KSL asked for information about the agreements, he's like, we're not talking.
Yeah.
And they refused to release records, even under a grammar clause.
Transparency was the magic word there in Daniela's thing. I would think this, if you have a 287G agreement between your law enforcement and ICE, that is a public record, and that should be disclosed, whatever it is, whether it's the enforcement task force or warrant service. I mean, and whatever the language of it is, because they have to articulate what you're actually going to do. We are going to cooperate with our jail officers and give ICE agents records of all of our jail inmates so that they can run background checks on them.
And there's supposed to be training, and that's not happening. And I think residents are right to be concerned when things are happening in coordination with ICE with no transparency into what is actually happening.
I have no idea how many law enforcement agencies there are in the state of Utah. I would guess that there are dozens and dozens.
Probably,
So there are only 12, I say, that have these agreements. But I would say they're significant if they are county agencies because counties have jails. Cities don't operate jails. Counties do. So if you have it like Utah County was one that she talked about before, that would be a huge addition for ICE to have a county on board because then you have the access to the jail roster. We've even seen ICE agents over at the courthouse walking around, and I don't know what kind of collaboration they have with the bailiffs and the officers that are letting people in and out of the courts at various times. But, the public has every reason to be concerned about this, and law enforcement is sort of between a rock and a hard place as to whether or not you cooperate with ICE and try to do the law enforcement part of it, or not cooperate and try to make your citizens less concerned about it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it really is. Well, when we come back, a bit of merry-go-round when it comes to voter privacy in Utah, and now potentially another change in the state law. We'll tell you about that when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Voters in a few states are heading to the polls today for primary elections. ABC News political director Avery Harper has more.
In South Carolina, Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace is seeking her party's nomination for governor in a competitive primary. And out west, Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo is running for re-election in a race that is expected to draw lots of attention in November.
Other national stories KSL is following. Spencer Pratt is poised to lose his bid to become the next mayor of Los Angeles. More from ABC's Trevor Ault.
Spencer Pratt had said if Mayor Bassler-Rahman won in this race, he was going to give up on living in L.A. His campaign was fully focused on critiquing the mayor, and it did generate a lot of traction online, but not enough traction with voters in the city of Los Angeles, and he'll come up just short of facing the mayor head-to-head.
It's projected that Pratt's two challengers, incumbent Karen Bass and council member Nithya Raman, will face off in the runoff election. Pratt was in second at one point last week, but more votes have been counted since then. In local news, a 24-year-old man from Sunset says he has never felt such relief in his whole life after he was cleared of 2 counts of aggravated sexual abuse of a child. Caden Lemon was accused of abusing 2 children at a home daycare in 2024, and he says he recalled having a regular day before police arrived at his home with a warrant alleging the crimes. He was held in jail for 2 weeks before being released with an ankle monitor and then faced over a year of legal proceedings. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 330 points to 50,455. The NASDAQ down 489 points to 25,438. Coming up, some sunny days ahead. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
When you hire CertaPro painters, you're hiring peace of mind. They make the entire painting process worry-free because they're professionals and they do the job at the right price. And right now, celebrate America's 250th anniversary with CertaPro painters and get $250 off projects of $2,500 or more. Schedule by July 10th and let freedom and fresh paint ring. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
For 250 years, the beating heart of the USA has been the people who call this land home and the communities we make here together. America First Credit Union is proud to have been a part of those communities for 87 years and proud to help our members realize their financial dreams. So come join us in celebrating and succeeding the way Americans always have. Together. Federally insured by NCUA.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money? We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better. What about client portfolios? We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs. Your clients really come first then, huh? Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. Wow, maybe we are different. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at UCCU.com. Let's go back to the traffic center. Cormac Bone?
No delays on I-15 between Ogden and Provo, both directions. We do have an accident, though. This is at the end of the on-ramp to northbound I-15 at University Parkway in Orem. They're out of traffic and in that right shoulder, so again, no slowdowns behind them. We also have an accident northbound Redwood Road in Saratoga Springs. This is just before Crossroads Boulevard. Looks like they're blocking a center lane there, but you can still get around them, so it's just a little slow northbound Redwood Road approaching Commerce Drive. Otherwise, though, no major accidents or delays all across the Wasatch Front. Clients are saying dental implants are worth it. Stubbs Dental completely changed my life. Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com to get started today. That's StubbsDental.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, the high will be 76 with a chance of rain, but for the rest of the week, it's going to be sunny and in the 70s and 80s until Saturday when we hit a high of 90. Right now it's cloudy and 70 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Earlier this year, the Utah legislature voted to make voter records public by default. It actually sparked quite a bit of outrage, but lawmakers defended the move as a win for transparency. Speaking of transparency.
Right. That seems to be the word of the morning. Now we're learning that some state lawmakers may make some more changes to voter privacy laws in hopes to appease some angry voters who learned the hard way that some of their records were not as private as they thought.
Yeah, and while there was outrage and some backlash during the legislative session, I'll just say that I don't think most Utah residents pay attention to the legislative session like we do because we're the nerds. And so I think what happened when the lieutenant governor's office, the state elections office, sent out letters telling people your voter registration has been marked private. However, under this new law, it's now going to become public unless you fall into one of these small categories. That's when the real outrage started.
Yeah, and people were like, wait a minute, maybe I don't want to vote anymore. I had a lot of people contact me and say, hey, I just want to opt out. I'm not going to vote if that's the case.
We had many texters to our show saying, I'm opting out. And when we talked with some of the county clerks, they said, unfortunately, we are seeing that.
Yeah, that's too bad. Well, let's bring in Bridger Ville-Svetko, who's KSL's political reporter. Bridger, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what are we hearing from lawmakers about maybe tweaking the law in response to what some of the voters are concerned about?
Yeah, after some of this backlash, a handful of lawmakers is convening a working group on Capitol Hill. They're going to meet this summer over the interim and discuss some potential changes to this law. It's SB 153, like you mentioned. There are few details about what they plan to do going forward, but they say that they want to try and find a fix to this and see if they can't mollify some of those concerns that have been raised.
So I would just say it's maybe another example of people who make decisions not understanding what the response might be. So Bridger, can you tell us how is this bringing it in line with federal voter registration laws?
Yeah, so part of the reason for passing it, you mentioned the transparency piece. The senator who sponsored this also said that Utah's law for several years now, they think, has been out of line with the National Voter Registration Act, I think passed in 1993, which said that states do need to have most of the voters on their rolls be publicly identifiable, so that campaigns and political parties can kind of track where their voters live, what their party affiliation is. Utah has allowed more voters to opt in as private. So this law makes it so that you can still keep your information private if you're an at-risk voter, if you're someone who has been a victim of domestic violence, if you're a police officer, an elected official, a couple other categories. And so they say that by making more of this information transparent, that it's actually following federal voter registration law.
What do we know from lawmakers about what a backlash they have received, or what some of their constituents are saying about this that's caused them to maybe, Bridger, to try to revisit this, like you say, at some meetings coming up soon?
Yeah, I think they've heard a lot of things that we've heard at KSL. You mentioned what you've heard. I've also spoke to people who didn't realize this was happening until they received that notice from the lieutenant governor. Also talked to people who said, is this worth voting? Maybe I'll just skip. Pass on this and not participate. I think lawmakers have heard those similar concerns as well. They've gotten a lot of emails, both the sponsors as well as just other lawmakers who voted for the bill. So I think that's definitely driving all this attention is definitely driving the push to maybe reconsider if there's a better way to do this.
So I feel like I always need to make it clear that this is different. The voter information that is now publicly available to campaigns, it's not like sitting on a website where anybody can go and check. Like, you can get the list, you have to pay for it if you're a campaign, but it's not the same as what the Department of Justice is suing to get, because the information that's publicly available in Utah does not include your birth date. It does not include your social security number, your driver's license number, or your email. But the federal government wants all that information to put into their one big database.
Yeah, that's correct. And this also isn't going to show, some people have been concerned that this will show how people have voted, the candidates that they've selected. That information won't be public. And you mentioned you have to pay to get access to this list. It's actually a crime to misuse the data. So if you pay for it and post the information online, you can be criminally liable. So they are there are some guardrails to make sure that people's information is kept as private as possible while still giving campaigns and parties more access to it.
Bridger, you mentioned that lawmakers here in Utah maybe, you used the word reconsidering what they've done. Do we know at all, or has anyone indicated what that means? Do they repeal the bill? Do they change the bill? Do they make it more consistent with federal law? Or have they even indicated at all what they're going to do?
Yeah, they're still really early on. They met just a couple of weeks ago after an interim meeting and haven't really settled on anything. They still have concerns about this issue with staying in line with federal law. If they were to fully repeal it, I think the sense is that, if anyone files a lawsuit, we could end up, Utah could end up paying a lot of legal fees and end up in the position where our previous law wasn't enforceable anyway. So I think they're really trying to balance that, find a way to bridge the gap. And it doesn't sound like they have an answer yet, but they're kind of taking all options and considering different ways to move forward.
So, Bridger, one of the things that I know that we've heard about from on this show are people who are saying, look, I haven't been in a domestic violence situation, but I really don't want my information out there. Sometimes they don't want people to campaign to them. I can understand that. I just got my mail yesterday. I have more than a dozen flyers in my mailbox, right, from different candidates. I understand that. But do you think that it's possible, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is it possible to maybe expand the categories of people who could opt into keeping their record private rather than making it maybe quite as broad as it was? Do you think there's opportunity there? Is that the only real option that they might have in front of them?
Yeah, I think there is some potential there. Maybe some other concerns that have been brought up or potential solutions could be just other ways to address the privacy issue. When this National Voter Registration Act was passed, we didn't have social media. We didn't have, it's so much easier now to find people. And so I think a lot of people are wary about that their comments online could get someone angry at them. And so, whether it's broadening that pool or just putting in other protections to kind of keep the law current with the digital age that we live in now, I think all things like that are being considered.
All right. That was Bridger Beal-Svetko,
Thanks,
KSL
Bridger.
political reporter. Thanks for
you.
joining us this morning. Holly, do you think that lawmakers maybe misjudged this, or do you think that it's just something that was natural result of this kind of legislation? Or both, maybe?
I think both. I mean, I think that if you remember during the legislative session, we actually talked about this bill, And the sponsors of the bill are Senator John Johnson and Representative Trevor Lee. And they basically said, there are all these people we can't campaign to. Well, I think that some of those people didn't want to be campaigned to, and that's why they kept their information private.
Exactly right.
So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they're able to tweak this. I suspect that they will. Coming up next on Inside Sources, though, we're going to talk about some new agreements between the state and the feds over public land management, specifically down in the San Rafael Swell. Stay with us.
Hey, I just have to say that losing 25 to 30 pounds not only makes you look better, but it makes me feel better. I know when I get up and I get dressed in the morning, I'm putting on my slacks, putting on my shirt, buttoning up my buttons, that it just feels a little better knowing that they're a little bit looser, that the belt doesn't have to be tight, that the shirt doesn't have to be tight. That weight loss has been really good for me, and it's all the result of my hooking up with SOTA Diet Nutrition. I hooked up with them. It's been about 2 months, and I lost about 28 pounds, which was pretty close to my goal. I feel like I'm right where I want to be. I'm in sort of a maintenance stage right now, but it was all done with just food, and food that you could buy at the grocery store. It wasn't involving any pills or any injection or anything like that. I had a nutritionist that helped work with me. My wife helped work with me. It worked out really well, and it was just based on a change of my diet and change of some of my habits that I was doing wrong, because whatever I was doing, I could not lose the weight. And turning 60 was really this time I started gaining weight by quite a bit. I'm down to where I want to be. I want to stay at this place right now. And it's all thanks to SOTA. SOTA Diet Nutrition. Stay with me. SOTA is state of the art.
Looking for a memorable summer staycation? Enter now for your chance to win a family getaway in Logan. One lucky winner will enjoy 2 nights at Marriott Hotel in Logan and delicious meals at both Elements Restaurant and Prodigy Brewing. Plus, enjoy an epic outdoor adventure of your choice of UTV riding or snowmobiling, weather permitting. Sponsored by Cache Valley Tourism. Head to ksl.com/win to enter now. Don't wait. Visit ksl.com/win and enter today.
Hey Utah, have you heard? Nuclear energy might be coming to our state. Now, before your brain jumps straight into sci-fi movies, let's talk about what nuclear actually does. Nuclear technology helps power our nation's submarines, supports life-saving cancer treatments, and produces reliable electricity for millions of homes. That said, nuclear power also comes with some common misconceptions. Don't worry, we get it. Here's a fun fact. You're exposed to more radiation eating bananas than you are living near a nuclear power plant. And get this, a lifetime supply of nuclear energy fits into a single soda can. Despite what some people believe, nuclear energy is safe, clean, and incredibly efficient. But don't just take my word for it. Energy decisions matter, and Utahns deserve the facts. Learn more about nuclear and what it can mean for you. Visit energy.utah.gov/nuclear.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Progressive's accident response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's accident response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Attention commercial property managers. Seal coating, crack sealing, striping, and patching across the Wasatch Front. Get on schedule today at gopavutah.com.
All in together now, we can make it better, can we do it? We rope it up.
Cause we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, for the first time in over 100 years, the state of Utah will now have some say in what happens in the San Rafael Swell Recreation Area, which includes Goblin Valley State Park. And Holly, this is a 340 square mile area in Emery County encompassing 217,000 acres.
That sounds like a lot.
Yep.
So local officials say these agreements are good for the area and will help maintain stability when things like federal government shutdowns occur.
And some critics, of course, are concerned with state coming in that this will allow for additional motorized off-road traffic use and other things coming into the park that haven't been allowed before.
So I was seeing some of this on social media yesterday, which is when they signed these agreements. The lieutenant governor signed with Christina Price, who is the acting Bureau of Land Management Utah state director. So this is not a sudden thing, and this is one of the things that I learned. They've been working on this really for 25 years, and since 2019, there was a law passed that specifically directed states and the federal government to do more to work together. So I think that's important to note as well. This is a 10-year agreement. They expect that within a few weeks they're going to start working on this already.
Yeah, and I think that there's good and bad to this. We have seen a lot of examples here, especially during government shutdowns and other times when we have these sort of islands of federal property in the middle of the state that just aren't serviced as well as they could be by the federal agencies. And so having some state ability to come in and work with the federal government to keep those things in line and to help service them and just have these agreements in terms of how they're going to be handled makes sense. On the other hand, I can understand the critics, the environmentalists, I guess is what you'd say, who are going to say, look, right now federal lands are usually they usually ban off-road vehicles, sometimes dogs, those type of things. You can ride your mountain bike in some, but even some you can't even ride your mountain bike. Well, this may open up a lot more access to things that some people might think of as damaging to the environment.
I know that one of the arguments is it's the camel's nose in the tent, right?
Right, exactly.
It's like, hey, this is just one more foothold. But I was interested to see that what the state is agreeing to is 480 hours of hands-on maintenance. So during a shutdown, that would say we're going to make sure that the bathrooms stay stocked and clean and available, right? But for recreation, infrastructure, and trails, but also 480 hours of state law enforcement services within the recreation area. And that will do things like make sure people aren't defacing the rock art in the area.
Yeah, and I think with law enforcement, and I haven't read between the lines well enough to know this, there may be other first responders, because a lot of times in these federal lands, if you're hurt, you're in a world of hurt in terms of getting services to you. So having state authority to get into those lands may make them a little more accessible, like you say, for law enforcement, for paramedics, for fire, for groups like that. They probably respond now, but if there's state involvement, they can respond easier and more efficiently, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of the good and bad to this.
Well, yesterday, Reg Johnson, he's the executive director of Utah's Public Lands Policy Coordinating Office. Sounds like a long title, but he said the initial work is mostly going to be around recreation, but law enforcement has a huge part to play because the BLM only has several dozen enforcement officers. The state has about 140 for that same area. So that really, I think, makes sense to me.
And that's part of the good, I think. It really is in terms of what the state can do, because so often state authorities almost seem to act like like their hands can't be tied into coming into federal land, or sort of a hands-off approach. This is good. Now it's just, as I understand it, it simply relates to the San Rafael recreation area.
Yeah, that's right. For now. Yep.
But it could be the precursor to something more. And by the way, San Rafael is home of Goblin Valley, which is a state park. There are also 7 wilderness study areas in San Rafael. So it's a big area that's got a lot of very primitive areas that we want to protect, areas that we want to make sure that we can have our children and grandchildren get into without them being destroyed or ruined by others. And so, I don't know. I like the San Rafael Swell. I've spent a fair amount of time down there just hiking and walking into the area. It's beautiful. It's almost indescribably beautiful. You get into some of these little canyons and valleys and whatnot, and it's not a well-known area part of the state. It's not like Bryce or Zion or
I've never been there
Reef or any of those things. It's just the San Rafael Swell. It just is a beautiful area that I've enjoyed going into, but I've only gone into it on foot and hiked into that. But it's really a fun area.
Well, I always think local control is best, right? And so this is a cooperation between the state and local. But what I'm interested in is they already have an Emery County Public Lands Council. So that's a group of people that are horseback riders and off-road vehicles, mountain bike riders, hikers, miners, hunters, etc., and conservationists. So they're going to meet. They're going to meet with state and BLM representatives. They're going to meet with officials from Emery and Carbon County. They're all going to talk together about what this looks like, and they're going to depend on the people who are there locally to be the eyes and ears, right? They're the ones who are out there using it most often, and so they're the ones who can say, hey, look, right here is a pain point, right? Where's your pain point? Well, right here is a problem.
Yeah, and a lot of us that use that area look at it from different lenses.
Absolutely, right?
You mentioned that, yesterday I bought a new mountain bike, and so I'm thinking, wow, we may have some accessibility into San Rafael Swell. Just don't let the motorized vehicles in
right?
there. And I know the motorized vehicles are going, hey, if you're putting wheels on the ground, let's open up
Keep
some
the horses
trails.
out of the way.
And I know some of the hikers are saying, wait a minute, I don't even know if we want horses coming in here. So, I mean, I trust our state leaders that they're going to preserve this area as much as possible, and I also trust that the feds aren't going to just say, have at it, but there's reason for concern. It looks like this is something that was very well thought out, that there is some level of planning that's gone on here. It was a fairly big ceremony yesterday to say this. And I would also say this, if this is a test case, if this San Rafael area is a test case to see how much involvement the state is going to have with federal land management in the future, let's make sure we don't mess it up, state. Let's make sure that we don't open it up and that 10 years from now we're looking at San Rafael Swell thinking it looks like a dump. Not that it will, but
that would be terrible.
Just start tearing up the land.
Yeah, look, so I mentioned Reg Johnson. He also said one of the issues that they have seen down there is people not staying on trails, but because the trails aren't marked as well. And so he said the state might add trail markers and maps. It's not going to add additional trails, he said, but they're unless they're adopted into the BLM's travel management plan, but they're going to try to make them more easily discernible as trails so that people know, right? Because most people want to follow the rules, want to follow the guidelines. And I've been, gosh, I'm not really a hiker at all. And I've been just in really easy hikes and can't tell sometimes where I'm supposed to go with the trail.
And some of us think that's the beauty of the trail.
Ah, well, okay, that's fair.
And I'm being facetious, but let's not hope the trail becomes more discernible because a bulldozer makes it look so that it's much more clear.
I don't think that's what they mean by marking the trail.
No, of course not. I'm just saying that they to the extent that they are going to allow more vehicles and more travel into those trails, they will become a little more not as primitive, but also maybe safer too. Maybe more able people to hike on them and move around on them without getting lost.
With that extra law enforcement too, it gives them a tool to write up trespassers, people who are off trail, people who are cutting across places they shouldn't be going. If you've got enhanced law enforcement, they can be out there and saying, "Hey, this is not okay, and here's a citation for you."
So I hadn't even recognized that this was in the works. This seemed like it came right out of the wall for me, right off the wall. I didn't, you know what I mean? This announcement between local and state. I don't know whether you'd heard that there was anything going on.
I just don't. stay on top of everything that's happening, because this specific thing's been underway for years. Even if you go from the federal law changing in 2019, I mean, you're already talking in 7 years, right? They've been working on this. I know that local authorities have been doing a lot trying to make sure that they're at the table and not on the menu. And so this is a great example.
Yeah, well, let's see how it works out. I'm excited about it. I'm optimistic about it, that the state authorities will do a good job and the federal government will work well with them. And I want to continue to go down to San Rafael Swell and enjoy this sort of primitive part of that and hope that it doesn't get too messed up. When we come back after the break, we're going to spend the next hour of Inside Sources talking more about families. We talked about those yesterday, and why teens aren't talking to their parents, and why more young people are delaying having kids of their own. Coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. It's a developing story as the South Mountain fire just west of Tooele grew from 200 to 1,000 acres overnight. The 50 miles per hour winds and dry conditions have caused rapid growth, and as of right now, there is still no immediate threat to the public and no evacuations. A young girl not expected to survive after she was hit by a falling tree while at Pine View Reservoir. The 13-year-old had been in a group with several others when witnesses say a huge gust of wind knocked the tree over onto the group. The girl's parents say she is on life support until her organs are ready for donation. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Pilots from a U.S. Army helicopter were rescued near the Strait of Hormuz today. It's not clear what may have caused the helicopter crash, but it comes as the ceasefire between Iran, the U.S., and Israel is barely holding on. More from ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce.
The fierce missile attacks between Israel and Iran had tested the ceasefire and threatened to push the Middle East back into a full-blown war. After Iran fired a barrage of missiles at Israel over the weekend, the president tried to convince Israel not to strike back, telling Axios, "I'm calling Netanyahu right now and telling him not to attack Iran in response." But the Israeli prime minister defied Trump, firing back at Iran anyway.
None of the rescued pilots were injured. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 290 points today to 50,495. Coming up, we got a little bit of rain possible today, and then we'll see warm-ups towards the end of the week. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
The energy, the roar. Moments you'll always remember. Next season, Jaren Jackson Jr. is hunting blocks. Laurie Markkinen is getting buckets. And Ace is just getting started. Don't just watch Jazz basketball. Experience every moment. 2026-27 season tickets are on sale now. Full and half-season packages available. Plus exclusive benefits like arena discounts and player events. Are you in? Join the climb today. UtahJazz.com or call 801-355-DUNK.
Summer shines a little brighter in Logan, Utah. Start your day on a canyon trail, cool off by the water, or cruise into the mountains for views that go on for miles. Then wander downtown for local shops, live theater, fresh flavors, and a scoop of small-town charm. From outdoor adventure to arts, dining, and easygoing summer nights, Logan delivers the summer getaway you didn't know you needed. Make this summer refreshingly fun in Logan. Plan your trip today at explorelogan.com. Summer takes center stage in Logan, Utah. Late May through August, Logan comes alive with theater, music, art, and can't-miss performances worth planning a getaway around. Catch a show, explore local galleries, stroll downtown, and enjoy a delicious dinner before the curtain rises. With mountain adventures by day and standing ovations by night, Logan turns summer into something refreshingly unexpected. Make your next getaway a little more dramatic, in the very best way. Plan your escape to the heart of the arts at explorelogan.com.
Bad driving habits are hard to break, but good driving habits are easy to form, especially when they can lead to a discount on your auto insurance. With Farm Bureau Financial Services, the safer you drive, the more you save. Drivers like you are saving an average of $351 per vehicle. So buckle up Learn more and find an agent at fbfs.com/save. Individual savings results may vary. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
That sound, it's not a clock. It's how long you've been thinking about updating your kitchen. 6 months, a year, maybe longer. Same countertops, same frustration, same someday. Here's the truth. Doing nothing costs more than you think. Because every day you walk past a space that doesn't match the home you want. Bedrock Quartz changes that fast. With over 100 in-stock stone options, transparent pricing, and a team that installs quickly and gets it right the first time. You can stop waiting and start enjoying your home. Get started now by visiting bedrockquartz.com or stop by any of the convenient Bedrock Quartz showrooms. Bedrock Quartz, your vision, our precision.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Improve cash flow with a home equity line of credit. Let's go to the traffic center and see what we got with Cormac Bone.
We do have some northbound I-15 delays, a little out of the ordinary for this time of the day. Northbound I-15 slow from 3300 south up to the I-80 201 interchange. Took a look at the cams. Doesn't look like there's a crash or anything, just a little bit of extra volume perhaps. Eastbound on 2100 north in Lehigh, otherwise normal delays to expect approaching 2300 west. And the 201 freeway, some scattered delays light in both directions from 8400 west to 7200 west. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the winds have picked up a little bit. Seeing a lot of trees rustling in the Salt Lake Valley. Temps have dropped a couple of degrees in just the last half an hour. Today is going to be the coolest day of the week. Highs only in the mid-70s. Clouds overhead, small chance of rain, and then those will clear tonight, leaving the rest of the week hot and sunny. Right now, it is 68 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So, Greg, you and I know this, but younger couples are waiting longer and longer to have kids, and they're having fewer. We've talked about this trend several times over the last year, but I'm wondering, at least, is there anything that we can do to help our adult children have more kids of their own besides saying, hey, give me more grandkids?
This week, we're spending some time talking about families and the importance of families. It's thanks in part to a declaration from Governor Cox designating this week as a special time to strengthen connections within families.
So I'm looking at an article in the Deseret News, and then the study that they're referring to by Alan Hawkins wrote the article that's in the Deseret News. He's a scholar with the Wheatley Institute. He's an emeritus professor of family life at BYU, and a member of the Utah Marriage Commission. We've talked about that in the past too. And it's interesting, like he starts off talking about a personal encounter with a young woman who wants to be a mom. She's married and they feel like stable in their relationship, but she's really, really worried about the economics.
Yeah, and I can understand that. I'll just tell you some examples that I've seen that have worked, but they're not for everyone. My son has several children, and his mother, my ex, lives in the house with them.
Oh, wow.
She retired and moved into the house like a full-time nanny, but it's a little more comfortable than a full-time nanny because she's family. And that has alleviated all of their daycare problems and all of their daycare expenses. And she just lives there. She's got a room of her own. She's like a tenant, but she picks up the kids, runs them around during the day, cleans the house during the day. I mean, for them, and it's not for everyone. Like I say,
she's the wife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's and so his wife, who is also a medical professional like he is, they're both docs. She can go out and work and do what she needs to do, and they can go have dinner once in a while after work and not worry about getting home in time to get the kids out of daycare by 6:00.
So that's interesting too, right? I think some of it is the financial cost for sure. I think it's interesting to see my own children as they decide, they're getting married later, and so far they've been delaying childbearing until after they're married. So we have our son that was married last year. They're pregnant with their first baby, but they're both in their mid-30s now.
Yeah.
So it's going to at least curtail to some degree how long they can have kids.
Yeah, and my wife is another thing that we're doing, that she's doing, is she is helping her daughter pay some of her child care expenses.
Mhm.
And of course, she's got some family that's helping her as well, but she's offered to help her daughter pay some of that. Now, a lot of times you think, well, if you can't afford daycare, then should you really be working? And a lot of young people have to consider that. If I want to continue my career and want to keep working, can I make enough to justify having 2 kids in daycare every day?
Right.
If you can't, why bother working? That's a hard decision that people shouldn't have to make. I don't know why we don't do more for that in our country and in our state to help young people get child care, but it's something that's left with the families a lot of times.
I think, yeah, well, I saw some national stats because there was a conversation last year about, just grandparents should, to solve the childcare crisis, grandparents should provide the babysitting. So I had to go look at stats, right, because I am a grandparent, and it's something like 3% of United States grandparents are actually providing care for their kids. It's a very, very small number.
Yeah, that's the number that I was talking about with my boy. I mean, that's a very small number, and there are probably other I don't know, extended family members that could help too, but I'm trying to think of how that could work out. I don't know why we do that. A problem is we're creating another problem on the back end, and that is that in order to maintain our current population growth, or to try to maintain our current population, the family unit has to have, on the average, 2.1 children.
Mhm.
And right now in this country, I think we're at something like 1.6.
Yep, something
meaning
like that.
we're going
Yep.
to continue to lose people. And you can't sustain the economy the way it is right now.
Right.
You can't fund Social Security. You can't fund Medicare. You can't fund the things that we need if you're losing population, if the younger generation isn't able to support the older generation as they start to retire, and other things.
Do you think it would be effective if we said it's your patriotic duty?
Yeah, to have babies, right?
More than 2 kids.
Yeah.
I don't know that would work. But one of the things that they point out in this article, and this is Dr. Hawkins again, is that it's good to share stories about how it worked for you and how it's good, right? How parenting can bring you joy, because you can remember the hard parts and you can talk about that, the sleep deprivation, like you never sleep again in a normal way. So once your kids sleep through
Not
the
for
night, then
18
you're up
years,
during
right,
that's
yeah.
right. Then you're up during the night for other reasons. But one of them, too, is that we're so focused, sometimes it feels like as a society, to either say, hey, parenting is really hard and really expensive. And I don't disagree with that, but it also is really joyful. And there are lots of things that you can do to make the finances work. Look, you know that we raised a really big family, and on paper, there's absolutely no way we should be able to have afforded that. But we did things like we didn't go out to eat as a family. We did stuff individually with the kids. We could take them out on a mom and dad date. Of course, hand-me-downs, those were a thing in our family. Not if the kids wore them out, but sometimes when the kids hit their growth spurts, right, you could take these clothes and just say, okay, look, he wore them for 3 months, man. So those are some of the reasons, or some of the things that older adults can do to help encourage kids.
And I also think there are those kids who you can't encourage, and I'll tell you why. And this may be off topic a little bit, but there are a lot of people right now that I talk to, young people, who are nervous about bringing a child into our current society.
Yeah.
We're nervous about, and that's not just in the United States. I mean, it seems to be worldwide.
Yeah, it's worldwide.
A lot of people are just like, hey, do I really want to bring a kid into what's going on right now? I think was it North or South Korea that the birth rate is something like 0.8.
I think it's under 1 now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even 1 kid per couple. So
Yeah.
there's no way they can maintain their population growth. They're going to start shrinking in big numbers. And China was having the same problems, and they're trying to encourage people to have kids. But I think a lot of people are like, why do I bother? And we all have friends, I'm sure you do too, who never had kids.
Yeah.
And they're the couple. They go out. They do trips. They've done all kinds of things. But boy, I love seeing my grandkids. I love seeing my kids. I love
It's so
skiing
fun.
with my daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like dying and going to heaven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a joy that you can never experience unless you have a child of your own.
So one of the things I know that I've talked to you about is thinking about downsizing our big home where we raised the big family. And so I've been watching these YouTube videos about making these decisions. One of the things they say is make sure you know why you're moving where you're moving. And a lot of retirees are choosing to move where their grandkids are, which I think is super interesting, right? So I don't know if that's encouraging or not, but there are ways, I guess, to help people feel more certain that they can bring kids into this world and that things will work out. Kids are really great. They're also hard, but they're really great.
Yeah, and I've felt my own pangs of guilt for working as much as I have and not being able to spend more time with my grandkids or helping my kids. I don't know that they'd want me to be the in-home nanny. I'm
that would be awesome.
But yeah, I think grandkids might like it.
Yeah, they would. Grandpa for the win.
Right.
Okay, we're going to continue our conversation on families, and we're going to get some insights into why our teens might be choosing not to talk to us, the parents. That's coming up on Inside Sources. Stay with us.
Picture this. You pull into your driveway, and for the first time in a long time, you will love what you see. Beautiful new siding, bright energy-efficient windows, gutters that protect your home year-round, and a deck that makes the backyard feel brand new. Not someday, not after one more year. With RGS Exteriors, the home you've been wanting can start today.
Hi, Tim Brown here, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
Something about me. I don't like to settle. I work hard to be my best self, and I want a vehicle that matches. So I'm shopping for a Cadillac because their innovation and craftsmanship are top of the line. With a whole line of electric SUVs packed with state-of-the-art technology, I know I'll be driving away in redefined luxury. Help all of us at Jerry Seiner Cadillac celebrate our new location with an incredible buying experience for your dream car. Come in today to experience the Seiner difference.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't Wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Well, anyone who's had teenagers in their house knows it can certainly be a challenge. And what parent hasn't had a little bit of a yelling match with their teen?
Not me. Come on. I was a perfect parent. Ha ha. Yeah. My kids are not listening to this show, or they would be calling right now. So we know, look, raising a teen can be loud, but it can also involve a lot of silence between parents and kids, especially when it comes to the sometimes really important and sometimes sensitive topics.
Yeah, in this segment, we're going to stick with families and talk about why teens aren't talking openly with their parents. It kind of got me thinking about my own age, being a teenager, what that could mean for their long-term development.
We have Lois Collins in studio with us. She's a Deseret News reporter that joins us on the regular. So thanks for joining us, Lois.
Happy to.
So one of the things that's interesting to me is your story. It starts off 4 in 10 Utah teens aren't talking to their parents. And it's not that they don't say words. It's that there are certain topics that they're not sharing, right? Like I can think about the typical conversation at my house when I had a house full of teenagers. It revolved around food. Right? They wanted to know when the next meal was, or they were making their own because they ate like 6 times a day. If I asked questions about school, it was like, fine, right? I would get 1-word answers. But I honestly can't remember sitting down and saying, how's your mental health?
Yeah, I don't think most people do that. If in this particular survey, it's based on the SHARP survey and survey of parents as well, they found that 93% of parents think that their kids would come to them with any kind of issue that was really bothering them. And it turns out that 4 in 10 say they don't talk to anybody. And if they, and of the ones that do talk to somebody, they start with their friends or with peers or sometimes with another trusted adult, but they don't want to worry their parents. They don't talk to their parents about the really significant things. And I actually remember my kid being really bullied in middle school by a group of girls, and I found out about it from somebody else who told me about it. My kid didn't, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
I wonder what the disconnect is between parents, 93% of whom think their kids are going to talk to them about anything, and only 60% of kids who, if you're saying 4 out of 10 don't talk to their parent. I mean, I guess I would put myself in that category. I bet my parents thought, oh, Greg will talk to us about anything, but I didn't talk to my parents about it.
Yeah, didn't we all have secret lives as teens to some degree? And I think the interesting thing is, and the point that bringing this up is trying to make, is that you have to form those connections and you have to start talking to your kids when they're really young. So when I wrote this story, we found young families that were doing things with their kids specifically to ask them about what they're hoping it will build when their kids are teens. And what they hope it will build is the feeling that we do things together, we know each other well, we have side-by-side conversations, and they will talk to me about things. It's crucial.
We've done some things in our family, and it's not regular, and it should be, but things like play the game that's like, would you rather? Or, you know, would you rather fly or be invisible, right? And those are kind of fun. And at Christmas time, we had one of our daughters took regular games and then turned it into family games, which I think is really fun, right? And then you have a chance to share, and then more stuff comes out. What suggestions do you have for parents besides starting young if we've missed that window?
Side-by-side conversations. You don't sit down
Face
eye
to
to eye
face.
and directly confront your kid. You know, things like when you're driving a kid to an activity. And by
Uh-huh.
the way, the activities are part of the problem. Kids should be involved in activities, but a lot of parents get into some sort of drill sergeant mode where they're like, do your homework, you got to do that before you go to this game or whatever. So, but side-by-side conversations are really good. And sharing your own emotions a little bit. You don't want your kids to feel like they're being burdened with your emotions, but you can tell them about experiences and say, have you ever had anything like that happen to you? I know when it happened to me, I kind of kept it to myself, and now I wish I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think one thing that parents miss out on, or what they don't appreciate, and I put myself in this category as well, Lois, is that if you're not communicating with your child as much as they need, someone else will. And that someone else could be someone you don't want to communicate with your child, because there are so many predators out there. And I know I'm digressing a lot, but it makes me think about young people, teenagers who need somebody to talk to, and they're going to get it one way or the other. And if mom and dad aren't doing it, they'll find that outlet.
The thing that's so interesting is I think that parents universally would be willing to talk to a kid. You could, if my kid came to me and said, Mom, I got tricked into sending a nude photo or something, I would deal with it. But I think that my kid and most kids would not have that kind of conversation because they don't want to disappoint you. They don't want to anger you. And we've seen some tragic results from that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Look, I think screens are part of the conversation too, right? Is you can all have dinner together, but if you're all on your phones, you're not talking to
You're
each
not
other,
having
right?
dinner together.
Right. You're right. So you also have another article about screen-free summers. And, I have parental guilt right now. We're raising a granddaughter. She's 11. This is the first time I've really worked full-time while I had younger kids at home. Well, guess what she's doing all day while I'm here? She's on a screen.
She's on screens. Yeah. It's interesting because when I did this story, the first thing you have to know is that screens, there are good uses for screens. So if you're just saying that there's absolutely no screen, maybe it works in your family, but it doesn't necessarily work in another family. I talked to a woman about a child, he's a teenager who has autism, and a screen gives him a community that understands him and does not reject him the way some of his neighbor kids did.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because there's so many different approaches to being, quote, screen-free. Like I talked to one family that took their TV off the wall, and they are screen-free. And they changed schools so their kids are not at a school that requires the use of screens all day long, and they really enforce it. And there's another family where they've had good conversations about screens, and the teenage son has set his own limits. And frequently, he doesn't bother to turn on the screen later. He allows himself to use a screen after 7, and sometimes he's doing other things, and he doesn't miss it. So there are different approaches to it. But everybody agrees that kids use screens too much and that it should be limited, that it's not healthy if you're on your phone all the time. And part of that is modeling it.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting around playing games or scrolling or doom scrolling or whatever you do all day long, and you tell your kids, hey, you're on the phone too much, you're on the screens too much, you play too many video games, it's in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, because they watch you do what you're telling them not to. Yeah,
that's just it. You go to a restaurant and you see a family and mom and dad are texting and on their screen, and you think, okay, how are you going to communicate with your kid? I mean, you got to set the example on the front end.
Seems to me, too, it's hard because we all work kind of around the clock anymore. That's sort of the model. So, like, I'll be in a restaurant with my husband and message pops up on my phone and it's from something that I have to answer, and I answer it. And then you think, well, I've done that my kids' whole lives, too.
Yeah. So what are some ideas for families to maybe do together to have less screen time, especially if you have working parents?
So there's one parent that I just loved what she said. She doesn't lecture about screens. She doesn't deal with screens at all. She just crowds it out.
Oh.
So they ride bikes together. They go on picnics together. They hike together. They do things together. And the other thing is, for some reason, we are terrified that our children will be bored. Guess what? Boredom is good. You have to figure out how to fill the space. So let your kid be bored part of the time. Encourage reading. Do things as a family. And if you're going to use screens, one of the good uses is to watch a movie together and talk about the movie as you go and be side by side and maybe talk about other things too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things you can do that don't involve screens. Where screens are problematic is where everybody's on a screen doing something different. You don't want that all the time.
Yeah, and if you think a kid's going to be bored without their screen, just let them be bored for a few minutes, because then they will absolutely find something.
They
else.
figure out something.
They may have to engage you as a parent and start
Although
talking.
I got to tell you, when my kid found something to do when she was bored, it involved a Sharpie and a closet wall.
Yeah, creativity takes all forms, doesn't it?
Thanks, Lois. That was Lois Collins, Deseret News reporter, in studio with us again this morning. Coming up on Inside Sources, sports and the law might not always mix, but they do in this case. Our thoughts on a sports betting story involving a Big 12 player when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: Ballpark neighborhood is being nominated as an opportunity zone, an area where investors can get a major tax break. City leaders have chosen 6 other areas, mainly on the west side. In previous years, the tax breaks led to huge developments in the Granary District. The list needs to be in the hands of the state government today. The U.S. Small Business Administration is offering disaster loans for businesses hit by the drought here in Utah. Cynthia Cowell with the SBA says loans can go up to $2 million, and their low interest rates can make a huge difference.
A lot of businesses nowadays will put things on their credit card where they wouldn't have before, and that's like up to 30% at times.
She says that farmers can receive similar loans from the Department of Agriculture, but these loans go to farm-adjacent businesses, like restaurants who use fresh produce and may have had higher costs due to limited supply. Cowell says the worst thing that can happen is they say no, so there's no harm in taking a little bit of time to apply. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the war in Iran is one major factor behind rising costs. President Trump insists the U.S. is nearing a peace deal with Iran.
What has proven to be a very powerful thing is the blockade. The blockades turned out to be much stronger than bombing. And it was really a combination. It was our initial thrust and then the blockade.
A Federal Reserve Bank of New York survey finds 44% of Americans now say their financial situation is worse than a year ago, and 13% say their situation is much worse. Your money at this moment: the Dow down 323 points today to 50,462. Coming up, today's weather already pretty windy and cloudy. Probably see a little bit of rain before the day's end. We'll check weather next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the X
Everts, a Carrier Factory authorized dealer.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bang. Let's go to the traffic center.
The delays that we had on I-15 northbound approaching the I-80-201 interchange have cleared off the road. It's a problem-free drive between Ogden and Provo on I-15, but we do have some calling and texting reporting about some traffic lights being out in downtown Salt Lake. This is on 3rd West, John Stockton Drive. Those intersections where the traffic lights are out is at 2nd South, 3rd South, and 4th South University Boulevard. So if you're going through that area, watch out for those traffic lights to be out. Treat it like a 4-way stop. Be kind. Give everybody the space that they need. Otherwise, it's regular delays to look forward to. East and westbound, light and scattered delays both directions on the 201 freeway from 8400 West to 7200 West in Magna. Weathers Construction creates stunning functional kitchen remodels fast. Call 801-548-8409. Weathers Construction. Build your space better. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast today, the coolest of the next week with highs in the 70s, clouds overhead. There's a small chance of rain in some areas, but those storms will clear by tonight, leaving the rest of the week hot and sunny with highs in the 80s. It's cloudy and windy right now and 70 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but the college football world is having a little bit of shock today after a judge ruled that a Big 12 quarterback who admitted to gambling will still be eligible to play this upcoming season.
Yeah, so the NCAA does have a ban on gambling, and that includes bets on your own team. But a judge in Texas has granted a temporary injunction for a Texas Tech player. He happens to be the quarterback of the Texas Tech football team, which will clear the way for him to play this fall, despite the NCAA saying he's ineligible because he wagered on a football game.
Well, okay, look, we don't often mix sports and the law, but because you're here, we're going to do that. So help break it down. What the real, I guess, heartburn is over what this judge did against the NCAA policy.
Yeah. So what I understand is that this is a player, and I think his name is Brandon Sorsby. He gambled. He's a Texas Tech quarterback, and Texas Tech, by the way, is an outstanding football team. I think he's the quarterback. Anyway, they won the Big 12, and Utah and BYU were both in the Big 12. They were the champions last year. They went to the NCAA tournament. They fell on their heads, but they still qualified for the big tourney, and for the national championship. He it turns out bet on his own team. Now that's something that really has been seen as an absolute no-no, because if you think about, maybe you don't think about Pete Rose. He played
well, I'm familiar with the story.
Baseball for the Cincinnati Reds. He
Right.
bet on his own team. He was banned from baseball forever, and he would have been a sure first ballot Hall of Famer, but he was banned from the Hall of Fame as well. He was one of the greatest players that ever lived. However, he bet on baseball, and that's a no-no. And he bet on his own team. That's a no-no. When you think about gambling, and it's the same with what is that new thing we called
Prediction
market.
markets?
You're so
Yep.
smart. You read my
No.
mind now. But prediction markets, the problem with prediction markets and gambling is if you have some ability to tweak the
outcome.
The outcome.
Yeah.
That makes it completely unfair.
Yeah.
So if you're gambling, and we've had some referees who were accused of gambling, one involving the NBA, and he would gamble on a certain team, but then he could call fouls for the other team so that it could stay within the margins that he would gamble on. If one team was favored by 8 and they were only ahead by 7, he could call a foul on the other team to get the numbers up. So if you have some control over it, so if you think about it, if you're a quarterback of a team and you're betting on your team, you have all the control in the world. Now, some people might say, but he's betting on his own team, so his bet is to make him better, like he wants to play better. What's wrong with that? Well, you still can change the outcome, and I can tell you an example just because I was thinking about it. Let's say your team's favored to win by 4 and you're only up by 3. Now, most quarterbacks, if you're almost out of time, the game's almost over, you just let the clock run out.
Take a knee.
Yeah. But if you have a chance to put your team down the field a little, put them in field goal range, play a little harder, do something that your coach is kind of going, what are you doing? Instead of running out the clock, you could affect the way of gambling. So you could bet on your own team and still cheat at the same time.
Yeah. So look, I'm looking at a KSL story that says he acknowledged, this is Storesby, acknowledged making thousands of impermissible bets totaling at least $90,000 during his time at Indiana, Cincinnati, and Texas Tech. At least 40 bets on Indiana while he was a freshman there in 2022. And it's interesting to me, he transferred to Texas Tech in January for a multi-million-dollar NIL deal.
So that's what's troubling. If you're gambling to that extent, it's not just for fun. It's not just for money. That's called an addiction. That's a major problem. And to me, the fact that the judge would allow him to play, I think he got a two-game suspension.
Yeah.
So he got slapped upside the head, but not very hard. And so
he got barely slapped on the wrist.
He'll be back and he'll be playing. And unless there is some indication that he's getting some treatment for his gambling addiction, he'll be back at it, because you can't just quit gambling because you got a two-game suspension.
He says he's getting residential treatment and inpatient treatment program. But here's the thing with the NCAA is, as I understand it, right? And you have to tell me this, but they're supposed to have a lifetime ban on any player who is gambling. And it's especially a no-no to gamble and to bet on your own team. And so I'm seeing, this is what I started seeing over social media, teams saying, I'm not going to play them.
That's what brought this to everyone's attention, is that other Big 12 teams are saying, I don't know that we want to play Texas Tech. And that would be a huge problem. So it's when you talk about the law, the NCAA has rules. If you gamble, you are excluded.
Right.
Then he sues the NCAA and the school and saying, hey, you can't exclude me. And a judge overrides the rules because, after all, the law doesn't care about your NCAA rules necessarily. I mean, it does, but
I'm just going to say because he's a prominent player on the team.
Who knows? Maybe
what if he was a second stringer? Then they wouldn't even care.
Maybe the judge is an alumni. Who knows? I mean, I'm just surmising, but probably not. But so the judge is saying, well, maybe that's a little bit too harsh. Maybe there's something you can do. You're still at its core, Holly, dealing with 19, 20-year-old kids.
I know.
And
lots of money.
And maybe you can grant some leniency in terms of, like you said, make sure that he's in a 12-step program, that he's getting some help for his gambling, that he's getting, that we're watching him very closely. Maybe just get him away from any media source that he could gamble from, and give him a chance to redeem himself. But I also understand the NCAA going, wait a minute, we don't want to. We do not want this to be precedent right now in terms of what's going on, because what message does that send to the basketball player or the other player who bets on his team or another team or whatever?
Right. So one of the coaches, this is from the athletic director, I guess not a coach, but Georgia athletic director, told Yahoo Sports, it's not about Texas Tech, it's about protecting our own locker room, because we cannot in good conscience put our student athletes on a field where the competitive integrity is compromised and overridden by the courts. And then he says this, if a state court wants to dictate eligibility rules, they can play themselves.
Yeah, and I think he also went on to say we wouldn't play that team.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they're saying. And
Georgia was saying.
So I wonder if even in spite of the court ruling, if enough of the Big 12 teams saying we just will not play you, if maybe they would reconsider. the team.
Yeah, forget the judge. Yeah, the team might have to just
That's what I'm
reconsider
saying.
it and say, yeah, that's a good point. And that's exactly what's happening is that some teams are saying, or at least hinting, that maybe they won't play Texas Tech. Now, that would be an extreme measure because that team would suffer thousands, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. It would be huge by not playing one of the top teams in the country. But if you want to send a message, and the other, I think there may be more than 12 teams now in the Big 12. But at any rate, you could say, hey, we're all for one and one for all. Nobody's going to play Texas Tech this year in football.
So Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan weighed in yesterday. He's concerned too, and he said, I'm disheartened by the injunction issued today in the Brendan Sorsby matter, which will allow him to compete this fall despite clear violations of NCAA policies and ethical guidelines. And then he says, we're all committed to supporting student-athlete well-being, but we must also have a definitive path forward that preserves the most basic tenets of competitive integrity.
So another thing to think about, and this is a trial court judge who's granted the injunction, there may very well be an appeal, and it may go to the circuit or the appellate court there in Texas. I don't know if it's a federal or state court. I could look real fast. It doesn't matter. But anyway, they might take it up to the next level and get this stopped. But right now, this judge is under the radar. That team's under the radar. That quarterback is certainly prominently out there right now as somebody who has a gambling problem.
Well, that's interesting. We'll see. Next on Inside Sources, though, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how it affects our faith. We're going to have a discussion about AI and our relationship with God, seen through the lens of Elder Garrett W. Gong, after the break.
Hey, I got really lucky a couple months ago when I hooked up with Soda Diet Nutrition, and some of the people here at KSL told me, if you want to lose weight, that's the place to go. And I did want to lose weight, and I was embarrassed to admit it, but I gained enough weight that it was making me uncomfortable. So I contacted Soda, and they were kind to me. They said, look, if there's something you want to do based on just food and not pills and not injections, sign up with us. We think you can lose 3 to 5 pounds a week. I lost over 4 pounds a week for 7 weeks. It was great. And I got down to the weight I wanted to be at, and now I am maintaining their diet and some of their plans and maintaining that weight, and it's worked out really well for me. It's just food that you buy at the grocery store. You don't have to buy it through them. They give you a plan. They give you a coach. They give you a nutritionist, and they say, follow this plan, and you can lose weight. And I did. I followed the plan because that's what I needed. I needed direction. I needed someone to say, do this, and you can get that. And that's what Soda Diet Nutrition did. Sota Diet Nutrition, SOTA. They worked for me. They'll work for you. Say it with me. Sota is state of the art.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Utah homeowners enter to win a new AC from Vyrock Heating and Cooling. Visit VyrockAir.com. All applicants receive a free AC evaluation. Vyrock Heating and Cooling. VAIRockair.com.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but I've always...
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
The new Inside Sources.
I am lost. Here we go. I couldn't get my mouse to work. Well, artificial intelligence has become such a part of our lives and our society. Everything has become connected thanks to the internet, and AI is amplifying it for everybody.
So it's really interesting. Recently, just on Sunday, actually, Elder Garrett W. Gong of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints released an hour-long video talking about, I guess, concerns about using AI in place of God. It was really interesting to me because I watched this series with my husband. They're broken down into smaller chunks so you can, watch each single individual chapter if you want. But it was not meant exclusively for an LDS audience. He was clear, I thought, in making sure that this message felt available to everybody. He quoted the Pope. He talked about Islam. He talked about Judaism. But at the beginning of his address, he asked kind of a rather provocative but maybe reasonable question on whether AI can ever replace God.
Can artificial intelligence replace God? That question may sound provocative, but in an age when we turn to algorithms for answers, guidance, and even comfort, it matters deeply. Artificial intelligence can answer questions, but it cannot answer prayers. It can organize information, but it cannot offer revelation, covenant connection, or divine truth. In this message, I explore how to hear God's voice clearly in an age of artificial intelligence, and why that distinction matters more now than ever.
I just mentioned how impressed I am with this man. I mean, we have seen him recently in another capacity, I think, with a lot of other religious leaders, and he's just, I wasn't familiar with Elder Gong at all, but he is somebody that I'm just incredibly impressed with.
He is really a brilliant man, and he has been involved with computers and AI for a while. He also I think, worked with the State Department. I mean, he just really super impressive. One of the quotes that he had that I thought was interesting, and you just heard it there, is AI can answer questions, but it can never answer prayers. Right. And I think that was important. And then I liked the way he set it up. So he divided it into 4 different relationships, types of relationships. So our relationship with God, with a divine source, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with other people, and then our relationship with what he calls the environment and the natural world.
Yeah, I mean, just so phenomenal. And we think about AI in so many different contexts, but think about it in the context of religion.
Yeah.
It's something you hadn't thought about before. And can AI replace God? I mean, what a he said provocative. What an interesting question to even have that discussion.
I think some of the things that he has continued to do, right, is he is continuing to go to these symposia where faith leaders are talking about this and trying to grapple with this. You know, we just had Pope Leo release an encyclical, and he talked about AI and how it can become a replacement for God. It can become the Tower of Babel, and we need it to not do that. That was the Pope.
Right. And Elder Gong also spoke about the impact AI and its associated data centers have on our world environment.
I thought that was really timely, to be honest.
As the race for AI compute intensifies, many express concern for the natural resources AI consumes and AI's impact on our environment. AI queries often consume more compute time and energy than traditional computer operations. AI data centers require significant amounts of land, electricity, and water. The intricate supply chains needed to build AI systems also tax our natural environment. These include the mining, refining, processing, and cleaning rare earth minerals and other elements and components on which AI systems depend. Also, demand for AI services continues to increase, so we need to approach the expansion of AI infrastructure with wisdom and concern for our natural world and environment.
So he doesn't say one way or the other, but he does say, and I think reasonably so, right?
Sure,
we need to approach this with caution and, careful consideration of its impact. I thought that was really good. One of the other things that stood out to me really is the relationship with others, right? And he didn't mention like romantic relationships with AI specifically, but he did talk about how important it is to have real relationships with real human beings. Right? Not to just isolate ourselves on our screens.
So did you listen to the bigger part of this? Did you?
I listened to the whole thing.
Okay, I was going to ask you.
Listened and watched, and this was, I think, a very beautifully produced video. There's all kinds of pictures and graphics, images, etc. But he also has, I guess, maybe assignments or suggestions for people to take. In each different section that he had, he said, "Here's what I recommend."
How did you find it? I mean, tell me. I've got to listen to this.
It's just on YouTube.
Okay.
So I looked under the church's YouTube channel, but they're all posted on his channels too. So he has his own individual channel, so they're there too.
Just a presentation and the way that he describes things is just so interesting.
Yeah.
It's just so prophetic. I mean, and then because AI is here. I mean,
he said that. He was clear. He goes, "This isn't going away."
Right.
It's not going to go away, but you need to remind yourself and stay grounded, about what really matters, right? And he's pointed out several places that AI has positive uses, but he also cautions against the excessive time spent using AI and technology in general. Is kind of fun.
Beyond these impacts on our natural environment, we need continually to ask about how we allow AI to influence our personal, inner environment and the environment we create around us. Studies estimate that U.S. adults average 5 to 6 hours a day on our phones, computers, and televisions. Teenagers spend 8 to 9 hours a day engaged with their screens. We know excessive screen time can contribute to depression and anxiety. Overdependence on social media and artificial intelligence can damage self-esteem, confidence, and contribute to mental health challenges. Excessive screen time also comes at a high opportunity cost. Imagine all the things we could do with that time. So, as the saying goes, please make time to touch grass.
I thought that was funny. Touch grass.
Seriously, talk about getting on top of this. We talked about the fact that the internet came and so many groups, government agencies, schools, whatnot, were caught off guard. But
with
AI,
social media.
Yeah, exactly. But AI is, people are thinking, wait a minute, we need to keep this genie in the bottle, or at least when it comes out, have some regulation on it. And who would have thought religion and AI?
Right.
But somebody that's really gifted did.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting.
It was so fascinating. And, we had a conversation yesterday on our show about the Department of Defense reclassifying religions. And one of the things that I saw on social media, was asking 4 different AI chatbots whether members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were Christian. 2 chatbots said yes and 2 said no, right? So they're not even consistent at this point, right? And so that's part of the issue here. So I love the part about nature. I love the part about touching grass. And in his suggestions for this nature, he said, look, AI can help you plan. It can help you plan, what trail to take, etc. But then put your phone on silent. And then he says this, build a bond with the natural world. And I loved that. He showed pictures of he and his wife out in dark skies, down in southern Utah where it's a dark sky environment, and talked about how powerful that was. And he's got a couple of pictures of him with petroglyphs. I mean, it's like build a relationship with nature.
Yeah, Garrett Gong, Elder Garrett Gong. I don't know how long he's been with the Quorum of the 12, but really just a very impressive man.
Yeah, he's been with them.
Sorry, I caught you off guard there. But no, I mean,
since 2015, 2018, my bad.
I'm absolutely going to spend some time this weekend listening to this podcast, a series of podcasts, it sounds like. Well, when we come back, we're going to go completely off the wall from AI and talk about public bathrooms, because they tend to feature sinks, toilets, paper towels, and guess what? Mirrors. One Utah school district said no more mirrors. We'll tell you why when we come back on Inside Sources.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top story this hour, Moab City Police say a woman is dead after falling out of a tree. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The investigation started when a woman in her 30s was found dead on the ground under a tree, covered by a fallen tree branch. Police say she got to the southeast corner of Swanee Park and climbed a large tree that was at least 40 feet tall. They believe the branch broke and she fell to the ground. Her body was discovered several hours after her actual death.
There are no signs of foul play, and investigators say her injuries are consistent with those of a large fall. Power is out to parts of downtown Salt Lake City, according to Rocky Mountain Power. Combined, it affects more than 3,000 customers. It appears to be just south of the KSL News Radio and the Delta Center on 3rd West, with crews responding, trying to get a fix right now. In other local news, students at Kearns High School have had their bathroom mirror privileges taken away after the school noticed them taking too much time in there. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
A school district representative says there are still mirrors in the locker rooms and students can carry their own handheld mirrors if they would like. But loitering in the bathrooms has been causing issues like tardiness, vandalism, and overcrowding in the restroom. Granite School District Communication Associate Director Luke Allen says other schools in the district have similar policies to crack down on loitering. The handheld mirrors may be a more common sight in next school year since complete cell phone bans will be in place. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got red across the board. The Dow Jones is down 400 points. That's 0.8%. The S&P 500 is down 128 points. That's 1.75%. And the Nasdaq is down 762 points. That's nearly 3%. Coming up, you're going to be hard-pressed to find the sunny side of the street today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, it's Greg Skordas. When I turned 60, I started gaining weight, and it wasn't just a little bit. It became 10 pounds, 20 pounds, and it started approaching 30 pounds, and whatever I was doing wasn't working. So I contacted SOTA Diet Nutrition at the suggestion of some of the people here at KSL, and they said, try it. There's no pills, there's no injections. It's all based on diet. They hooked me up with a nutritionist, they hooked me up with a coach, and they told me that I could plan on losing something between 3 and 5 pounds a week. After 6 weeks, I had lost 26 pounds, and after 7 weeks, I had reached my target, and I'm now at the maintenance stage. They hooked me up with something they call their dynamic diet because their nutritionists are specially trained to customize a dynamic plan for each person. Everyone has different food sensitivities, responses, weaknesses, lifestyles, habits, and behaviors, so a one-size-fits-all diet approach doesn't work. Dynamic diet highlights that personalized approach, and it worked for me. SOTA Diet Nutrition, SOTA, that's SOTADietNutrition.com. Remember, SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive Home and Auto Bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Ricky Meese.
For those traveling the Valley freeways, you're good to go. It is nice and quiet there, no accidents and no delays. Now, we have had a power outage in the downtown area. It is affecting intersections. So in the downtown area, anytime you approach a dark intersection, do so with caution. Then in Davis County, a road blocked off while crews are working on a brush fire. And this fire is affecting the road eastbound Gordon Avenue in Layton at 10th North. Seeing cracked, curling, or missing shingles on your roof? Don't wait. Save big during S&S Roofing's huge summer sale. From a small repair to a full replacement, SNSRoofingUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, the highs are going to be 76 with a 30% chance of rain. It's going to remain in the 70s until Friday, when it jumps to up to 86, and then Saturday with a high of 90. Right now, though, it's 70 degrees and mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So when I was a teenager, makeup consisted of bright blue eyeshadow. I plastered it on pretty thick. I used massive amounts of hairspray. I could get ready in just a few minutes, and I didn't need to take a mirror to school because I was set when I walked out the door.
You didn't need to, the hairspray held you up.
It would hold me up, yeah.
Well, as beauty trends have changed, it's become more and more necessary to use a mirror to get ready. And I confess one thing I have to say, that maybe this is off topic a little bit, but I've been wearing a tie for 45 years every day, at least every weekday, and on the weekends once in a while. And I don't know what it is. I cannot put a tie on without standing in front of a mirror. Even if I have to find a window or something,
That's funny.
I can't do it without having a mirror. That's so weird.
Oh, it's funny. You know, there's teenagers now at Granite School District's Kearns High School who might need to make some changes to midday grooming routines because the school has removed mirrors from all the bathrooms on campus.
Yeah, and the school took the mirrors out of the restrooms to cut down on what they call loitering. Apparently, a lot of the kids are just spending a lot of time sitting there and talking and yakking in front of the mirror. And it's, like you say, loitering. It's just taking away from their class time.
You know, sometimes I'm trying to remember in my own high school experiences what we did in the bathroom besides use the bathroom. I'm sure there was chatting. There are certainly jokes about women having to go to the bathroom together because that's an opportunity to go in there and talk. But I'm interested in hearing from our listeners, so you can text us 57500 and tell us what you think about this removal of the mirrors in bathrooms, high school bathroom.
I think it's interesting. I was surprised. I don't know that it's going to make a big difference. I mean, what are those little mirrors that you have that you flip open? At
those little compact mirrors,
yeah. I mean, you could still do that, but you can't really gather around the compact.
No.
So
you could do it for your lipstick, but you know what I use now often is my camera. If I need to redo lipstick or see if I have lipstick on my teeth, I'll just use the camera on my phone. But remember, we have a cell phone ban. So now students won't be able to use their cell phones either for a makeup check.
Well, it is kind of nice to have a mirror just to see, especially if you're in high school, just to make sure that you're put together okay. I mean, you would hope that they wouldn't just, I don't know, if they're taking it away, they take it away, but that your hair's in place, you don't have some mark on your face from your pen or something while you're during class. Having a mirror I think it's helpful.
Well, it's interesting. So they have, I'm looking at a Salt Lake Tribune story that broke this story. So thanks, Trib. Luke Allen, who's a district spokesperson, said students were spending too much time in the bathroom, and that can lead to numerous issues, including overcrowding, tardiness, and vandalism. And, I have seen a number of stories where kids are bullied in the bathroom because they're kind of away from where other people can see. But he said mirrors are still available in the locker room and that accommodations can be made if a student needs a mirror. So I wonder if they wouldn't just put it inside their locker, right? Get a mirror that you can stick on.
You could still do that.
And at least you've got that, right?
We want to know if we've only got a few minutes, but if our listeners want to text us about this move, tell us your thoughts, 57500. What do you think about this move by Granite School District's Kearns High School that they are going to take mirrors out of the bathrooms on their campus?
So we do have a texter, and he says this. He says, first, I cannot put on a tie without a tie. Yes, that is correct.
Right.
And he also says this. So where can guys talk in private in a typical high school because cameras are everywhere else? An 11th grader at the Kearns High School said it's just horrendous. It strips away our freedoms. It makes us feel self-conscious. And 10th grader agrees because mirrors help you feel more confident throughout the day. Without the mirrors, you don't know how you look.
I agree.
That's what you said.
I mean, I would like to go check it out every once in a while. I mean, every time I wash my hands, I look in the mirror just to make sure I don't have something in my teeth or something.
Rick, our texter, said it's not. I can't put on a tie without a tie and a mirror, right? So he's right, just like you. He needs a mirror to do the tie.
You gotta have the mirror.
So I tie the tie for my son who's in a wheelchair. It took me, 25 years to figure out how every time to remember how to tie the tie without getting the wrong end too long. So I finally figured it out.
I
don't do it with a mirror.
People all the time. I have to stand behind them and
as if it were a mirror.
As though I'm tying my own tie.
Yeah, you have muscle memory.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, you've got. That's just really interesting because I wouldn't have thought that taking mirrors out of a bathroom would have ever even been on somebody's radar. I can actually understand in like public parks or changing them to like the metal mirrors. They're not great, but it's something because there can be so much vandalism there. But to take it away to prevent loitering was something I hadn't considered.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a good idea. Let's see how it works. Maybe a year from now, go back and see if the kids are getting to class any faster at Kearns High School after the ban goes into effect. But they say that the kids are just lingering. They're just hanging out in front of the mirror. And maybe if you didn't have something to hang out in front of, you would do things differently.
Well, that's what they're assuming, right? But I don't know. I don't know. It's just really interesting. So again, text us 57500. What do you think about this? Not having mirrors in bathrooms at high school. So not to put you on the spot, but when you were in high school a million years ago, did guys just go hang out in the bathroom to chat?
So, confession, statute of limitations is right. Remember that song, Smoking in the Boys' Room?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was guilty of that once or twice. That was a dumb
now
thing
you don't
to
do that
No.
anymore.
That was the dumbest thing you could do. But anyway, we thought it was bad. Like, you were all bad to do that, like cool. It was really dumb, just the dumbest thing you could do. And you could never get away with it because it smelled horrible.
Well, I have a confession, and it wasn't me, but it was one of my sons. He went inside during recess with a couple of friends, and they actually smashed a toilet in the bathroom. And I'm like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, that's...
Well, they just got involved in dumb stuff together,
not
right?
Not going to get away with it all either.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't work, yeah.
Exactly. So This one says, very clever. This texter says, I don't know. I have to reflect on this for a while.
Good for them.
And then this one says, unless you have adult supervision in each restroom, there will always be loitering no matter what. That's where kids go to talk and do other things.
Yeah.
So interesting approach, right? And again, like we said, we'll see how that works. But school districts I guess they have a lot of freedom to do things that they think are helpful to move forward the process of education and learning, and that's one of the things.
I'm assuming Kearns didn't just pull this out of the air.
No.
I'm guessing that some school somewhere in America did something like this and it made a difference, or that they're trying something like this, because otherwise it's how innovative. Who would have thought, boy, there's so much loitering going on in the women and boys restrooms. Let's do something about it. Oh, I know. Let's take the mirrors out.
Yeah. And I think that they said, the school district people said that they had heard that other schools had done that. And so even if it was just oh, hey, I hadn't thought about that, right? There is still no policy that they can't bring a handheld mirror as long as it doesn't become a distraction. But those things that you just flip up and you can have this little handheld compact mirror, you can do that.
Yeah, but you can't gather around it, and that's what the loitering is.
That
so
is
that
the
makes
loitering.
A lot of sense. Yep. No, it'll make a lot of sense. The mirrors are the first things that get vandalized too. It seems like in the bathroom, they get scribbled on or something like that.
So one of the texters says, was your son able to sit down on a toilet after you broke it? I didn't break it. My son broke it at school.
Right.
So, yes,
after he broke it.
We didn't believe in capital punishment. So, so he could still use the toilet. But he did get in-school suspension, couldn't go to recess, and had to be under supervision.
We want to follow up on this story in a year, and we're
Yeah.
going to call Kearns High School, mark the date, and say, hey, did
How
the
did it work?
policy make any difference? And if so, maybe we'll expand it.
Well, we're going to go back to politics. Speaking of politics, different way. President Trump has officially nominated Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to become the next official Attorney General, but the confirmation could face an uphill battle because there are some Republicans who are like, yeah, we're not sure about that. That conversation's coming up next.
This summer, Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater is back. We're celebrating the 250th anniversary of America with a season that sings our nation's history and yours. First, freedom, passion, and unforgettable storytelling with the Tony Award-winning musical 1776. Starring two Michaels, renowned singer Michael Ballum and Metropolitan Opera singer Michael Sokol. Then, Gilbert and Sullivan's silly and swashbuckling, okay, not really, but at least it's a pirate word, The Pirates of Penzance, plus the moving romance of the last 5 years. This year, we're even honoring the legal system with the courtroom duo, Scalia Ginsburg, and the lighthearted Trial by Jury. The first is based on the true story of two Supreme Court justices who couldn't agree on anything except for their love of opera. The second is another Gilbert and Sullivan romp that'll leave you laughing. Join world-class singers, a full orchestra, and the magic of live theater in historic downtown Logan. Bonus! Utah teachers and students get free tickets. UtahFestival.org.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 22nd, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included, no strings, no commitments. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account taxes and fees extra after 12 months. Regular rates apply to mobile. Select Xfinity. Internet required speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. $50 a month for 5 years. No commitments. Go to Xfinity.com.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
Inside Sources.
Well, I suppose we shouldn't be too surprised by this, but President Trump is now officially nominating acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to take over that office and run the Department of Justice permanently.
So, look, you have to know the road to confirmation. He's got some challenges. He already has some Republicans that are, I guess, a little iffy on confirming him. The Democrats are a hard no.
Yeah, and you remember Blanche was Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer, and he served in that position since Pam Bondi left. I guess you can't do any worse than Pam Bondi, but we'll see. I mean, he's got a rough road to travel.
Yeah, we'll see. And before we get to the road to confirmation, let's get some additional information from News Nation's Marnie Hughes.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune is warning that, quote, nothing's a safe bet these days following Republican backlash directed at Blanche over the creation and dismantling of the anti-weaponization fund that would have paid out Trump allies for harm caused by allegedly politically motivated investigations and prosecutions. Many Democratic lawmakers also vowing to oppose Blanche's nomination.
So the anti-weaponization fund was a disaster for everyone, no matter how you look at it. And if that was Blanche's idea, and I can't imagine that it was, he's probably just taking orders from the president.
He defended it, though.
But he did defend it, and it was through his office that it was implemented.
Yeah.
It was so unpopular, and his own party was like, what are you thinking in terms of midterms coming up? And the public was just going crazy over it. $1.776 billion for people that had been arguably prosecuted and victims of weaponization by the Biden Biden administration, including perhaps some 1,600 people involved in the January 6th insurrection that they could potentially get money.
Yeah. So that's not going to happen
that.
anymore. But even Senator John Curtis from Utah is like, yeah, that gives me heartburn. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he has to get through the Judicial Committee first, and if he only needs one Republican to not vote to confirm him, and he'll be done.
From the Senate Judiciary Committee.
It won't go to the full Senate if he can't get out of committee.
Oh, it doesn't even get out of committee.
If he doesn't get out of committee. So certainly we know that there are people there. Tom Tillis has already expressed concern about that. He's viewed as the critical vote for Blanche to win over on the Judiciary Committee. He said flat out that he would not support any Justice Department nominees who he views as sympathetic to those who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. So not only the anti-weaponization fund, but he is like, nope, absolutely not. That is for him, seems to be a line in the sand.
Trump's cabinet picks continue to be loyal foot soldiers of the president, and not necessarily, and I use this word carefully, qualified. Maybe that's not the right word, but not necessarily the kind of person you wouldn't put Todd Blanche as the head prosecutor for the United States of America.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't have that kind of experience or background. Of course, you wouldn't do it with Pam Bondi either. And of course, that one turned out to be a disaster, probably. But Todd Blanche has served well, except for this weaponization fund, which is such a black eye that it's going to cause a lot of people problems. And if what you're saying is true, and that is that there are certain people on the committee that might think anyone that's sensitive to the January 6th insurrectionists is not going to be our Attorney General, then he's got a problem.
John Cornyn is also on that committee, and he says, I don't know yet if I'm going to support him. It depends on his answers to the questions I'm going to ask him when he comes in front of our committee. So we don't know for sure.
Is John Cornyn the
Republican
who's not going to?
That's right. He's not going to be back.
But he's not. He doesn't owe Trump any favors.
That's
either
exactly
right.
right.
And he may be sitting back going,
That's
well,
exactly right.
But it'll also make him more objective, I think, rather than beholden.
Maybe, but we also have John Kennedy, who is a Republican from Louisiana, who also sits on Senate Judiciary, and he said, I really don't know, when asked if he thought Blanche could get through committee. And he said, I'll keep an open mind, right? We heard that before. But the chair is Chuck Grassley, and he said, yeah, look, I think he's going to get through just fine because every Republican on the committee voted for him less than a year ago to be the deputy AG, and he thinks that they'll just fall in line.
So is the committee made up of 11 members, 5 and 5 plus one chair? I mean, is there a Republican that breaks the vote? I'm putting you on the spot again. But I'm just wondering how the committee is made up, because you said one Republican goes south. He may not get through the committee, which makes me think it's a pretty balanced committee, except for one.
Let's look.
Because if it's all straight along party lines, it would seem that he's going to pass.
Yeah, right. Let's see. So Chuck Grassley is the chair. The ranking member is Dick Durbin. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep.
Yeah, so 5, 5, and 1.
Yep.
So 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and then the chair's a Republican. So yeah, they can't lose one vote. That's my sort of impromptu mathematics.
I'm looking at. There are 11 Republicans. I didn't even scroll down far enough. So there are 11 Republicans on the committee. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Democrats.
Okay, yeah.
So if you have a tie, that's a loss.
Right.
Yeah, so if it's
even
10,
with that math, they can
lose one.
They cannot lose one.
They can have one. That's right.
Right.
To block his nomination from going forward, they have to get one Republican to say no. So you have on that committee, you've got Lindsey Graham, you've got John Cornyn, you have Mike Lee. You have Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Tom Tillis, John Kennedy, Marsha Blackburn, Eric Schmidt from Missouri, Katie Britt, and Ashley Moody. Those are all of the Republicans. And then you have on the other side, Sheldon Whitehouse, Amy Klobuchar, Chris Coons, Richard Blumenthal, Mazie Hirono, Cory Booker, Alex Padilla, Peter Welch, and Adam Schiff. So all the D's are a no.
Yeah, I would assume that there are going to be 9 no votes right out of the chute.
Right out of the chute.
And then he can't afford more than one.
If he
can't even afford one.
He can't even afford one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, but I don't know. Maybe people will say, let's give him a try. Maybe Trump's going to put the pressure on a lot of these people. Well, he's been the interim for a while, long enough to do one bad thing that people will remember him for, which was propose this anti-weaponization fund. We all thought, Holly, when we talked about that, the day that came out,
I know.
All of us, especially in the legal community, are going, what are you thinking? Like,
I know.
How is that ever going to fly?
I know.
And
it didn't go through Congress. It wasn't appropriated.
And it wasn't like
no oversight.
$10 million. It was $1,700 million.
Right.
You know,
almost $2 billion. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it was a committee that was the committee that was going to approve the funds were people that Todd Blanche was going to select personally himself. Right. I mean, so already that, to me, is a huge red flag. But I wanted to talk just a little bit about the confirmation timeline. The very quickest he could be confirmed would be the end of the summer, and that's the very quickest. So he has, now that he's been formally nominated, that was yesterday, he has to actually submit paperwork to the committee. It requires financial disclosure. It requires an FBI background check and a completed questionnaire. Now, he probably can do that relatively quickly because he just went through that process last year, but he has to do it again. And then the earliest date that Chuck Grassley could schedule a hearing is likely mid-July. And the very fastest would involve a committee vote around the end of July. If you could do that and get it out that quickly, you might be able to get a floor vote before the Senate leaves for August. The entire month of August, they're out.
Oh,
right?
But I mean, he's going to be interim in the meantime. So
yeah, he'll stay the interim, but to be confirmed as the Attorney General. So then you have it has to go to the full Senate, right, and be voted on. But you have all of the month of August, and so it wouldn't be until people come back for September. But remember, they're starting to look at midterms, and so there's not a whole lot of work that's going to be done in the fall, is what we're expecting.
Is it the Senate Judiciary Committee?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not a judiciary, but I guess, I don't know, maybe where else
right, but that's where it goes.
Yeah,
right?
Where else would you put it?
So I mentioned Bill Cassidy, and Bill Cassidy is also not returning to Congress or to the Senate, but he says this, he goes, I have to be convinced that Todd is not the president's personal attorney who happens to be Attorney General.
Right.
Right, and we've seen some conflict there.
That's going to be a hard argument to make for Blanche. Well, we'll see how that goes. But you said he has to be confirmed. You also said he has to be concerned. I think
probably both, actually.
Just a slip of the tongue.
That was probably a Freudian slip.
There you go. Well, up next on Inside Sources, let's talk about China's surveillance and security programs and why some unknown international players are seeking China's help, regardless of the baggage that might come with it, when we come back.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour. We've got breaking news from ABC. President Trump says the U.S. helicopter that crashed in the Middle East was shot down by Iran. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest.
President Trump wrote on social media that the American Apache helicopter that crashed in the Middle East was shot down by Iran while patrolling over the Strait of Hormuz. The president writes the U.S. now, quote, must out of necessity respond to this attack, but he doesn't say specifically what that means and how he would respond. The president writes that the military informed him that Iran was to blame, but the Pentagon has not released details yet on how the helicopter was brought down. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
In other national news, Jeep is recalling one of its most recognizable vehicles. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
1.3 million Jeep Wranglers are now under recall, with Jeep urging owners to park outside and away from structures because the trucks might catch fire. It's all been tied to the electrical wiring around the hydraulic power steering, which could overheat. Jeep says it's even a risk if the car is off and in park. Parent company Stellantis says it's been tied to more than 70 fires and 1 injury. The recall also applies to the Gladiator, the pickup truck version of the Wrangler. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got red across the board. The Dow Jones is down 216 points. That's 0.4%. The S&P 500 is down 88 points. That's a little over 0.1%, or 1.1% rather. And the Nasdaq is down 554 points. That is a little over 2%. Coming up, this weekend's going to be a hot one. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
IFA knows the secret when it comes to growing a thick, green, healthy lawn this summer. And you could say those roots run deep. Deep roots help your lawn better absorb water and help prevent damage during the dry months ahead. Our expert team can coach you through all the variables, like combining our locally formulated 4+ lawn care fertilizers with our recommended soil surfactants. Stop by or visit ifa.coop today to learn more. IFA, helping you grow the things you love.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
When it's hot like this, air conditioners struggle to keep up. Parts are under more stress, and sometimes those parts fail. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and no one helps more homeowners maintain and repair their air conditioners than Any Hour Services. As a matter of fact, last year, over 32,000 homeowners called Any Hour Services for help maintaining and repairing their systems. Any Hour Services has over 100 HVAC technicians to help with everything from maintenance, repair, to installing a new system. This summer, there'll be a lot of people told they need to replace their air conditioner, and they'll wonder, do I really need to? If you're told you need to replace your air conditioner and you still have questions, Any Hour Services can give you a second opinion and let you know what options are available. Maybe it just needs a little maintenance or a small repair. Maybe it does need to be replaced, but if you don't feel good about being told you need to replace your air conditioner, don't ignore those feelings. Call Any Hour Services for help with air conditioner maintenance, repair, or to schedule a free second opinion. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at UCCU.com. Here's Ricky Meese.
Right now, it's pretty quiet on the Valley freeways. We had a little bit of busy traffic on northbound I-15 near 2100 South. That's already thinning out. A small accident eastbound I-80 near State Street, and it's at the exit ramp. It's in the left lane. They're trying to get it moved out of traffic. So far, though, not causing any big backups. Weathers Construction delivers beautiful modern bath remodels done right. Call 801-548-8409. Weathers Construction. Build your space better. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The high today is going to be 76 degrees, and it's going to be about the same for the next 3 days until Friday when it rockets up to 86. By Saturday, we're going to be grazing the low 90s. Right now, though, it's 70 degrees and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Take a listen to this headline from the New York Times. China exports surveillance. So the country, as you know, has spent decades perfecting a surveillance state at home. Like literally, it tracks you everywhere you go, everything you do. Now it's promoting its ideology of state control and technology, the technology to enforce it abroad.
Yeah, and this is pretty concerning. We're talking about the island nation of the Solomon Islands getting a bunch of their policing and surveillance. It sounds kind of small, but it is sort of maybe the first step towards something much bigger.
Well, it's not that small. So the Solomon Islands are small, but they're getting a whole lot of policing and surveillance help from China right now. One of the things that they're doing is there was concerns about kids who were roaming around. They were high on betel nut juice or something like that. And people were concerned. And so they said, hey, we'll help you. We want to take fingerprints and palm prints, and you can tell us where you live. And then if your neighbors have some problems, you can report on them. That's okay. Yeah. So we have with us as a guest Brandon Amaker, the Director of Emergency Tech Policy Lab at Utah Valley University. Thanks for joining us, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Can you just start by telling us how concerned are you by this expansion of China's surveillance program?
Yeah, it's really interesting to see exporting surveillance as a way for them to project power and culture regionally. I mean, the Solomon Islands, as you mentioned, they're a small nation geographically and even, economically speaking, but they do have regional significance for, power plays in the Pacific. And furthermore, it's interesting to see that this really intense surveillance infrastructure, which China has developed over the last several decades, now actually being something that's economically viable for them to export, and also a means for them to sort of export that surveillance culture which they've developed within their own country. So it's interesting to see, and I'm curious to know what type of appetite you'll see for that in other nations, and whether or not nations who are struggling with different crime may jump at the opportunity to take advantage of that.
So when you talk about exporting surveillance, I guess I can't put my finger on what that literally means.
Yeah, so the technological platforms that China has been developing over an extended period of time include everything from facial recognition, enabled camera systems, which are essentially ubiquitous throughout all of China, no matter where you're going. If you're in a taxi, if you're on the street, if you're in a store, the camera systems there are going to be tracking your face. They're going to have all the biometric data saved, and they're going to know where you are at any given moment. In many instances, they're even using that to pay. In addition to that, you have other biometric technologies, including palm prints, fingerprints, as well as kind of digital footprint tracking. So, hey, we understand that this is the cell phone that you're using. We now have one platform that can kind of pull together all of this intelligence from, hey, where is your phone? What are you connecting to? Your financial data, facial recognition on cameras. And it provides a very comprehensive view, ability to be able to track people's day-to-day movements as they go about their life.
So it's interesting to me, Brandon, that it feels like, I know that China has been doing this for a long time, and they have a very different type of government. But this is one way, I guess. I'm familiar with Belt and Road initiatives, right, where it's kind of like, hey, we'll help you do infrastructure, and then, you're kind of on the hook because we want to be able to use your port, or we want to be able to do this, or you owe us. But this surveillance export stuff is really interesting because so much, I think, of the developed world for sure is saying, hey, look, we don't need to know every single second of every single day. And in China, I saw a news story. I feel like it has maybe been a year, but there was a Western reporter who went to China and they said, I want to see how long it takes for them to come and stop me. And it was like 20 minutes, right? And he just was out as an American walking in the park, and it was 20 minutes before he had Chinese law enforcement surrounding him, demanding to know why he was in a place he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, and that story is not uncommon whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who traveled to China to go do some business there, and he said that at one point as he got to customs on his way out, he had to dig into his carry-on to grab something, and he was able to see behind the custom worker's desk, and he saw still images from a variety of cameras from everywhere he had been while he was on his trip, from the office building he visited, the hotel he was staying out on the street, within taxi cabs that he had been in. So, the surveillance environment what they've created is really, really omnipresent and very sophisticated.
Is there any significance, Brandon, to the Solomon Islands in terms of maybe their place? They're in the South Pacific, or some reason why they would be the beneficiaries of this Chinese surveillance?
Yeah, geographically, the Solomon Islands, although they're small, they do present an opportunity that, hey, maybe as part of this deal, we're going to negotiate some basing rights for naval installations out into the Solomon Islands, and the vast majority of the vast area of water which they cover. So even though they're small geographically, right, they're the maritime area from which military installations could be serviced from them are not insignificant whatsoever. And you are seeing China and as well as Western powers kind of beginning to engage in this pre-positioning in the South Pacific, kind of in anticipation of the possibility that there might be heightened conflicts if something were to kick off in Taiwan, for example. So yeah, that's absolutely significant. And the part of the Solomon Islands, right, they are not necessarily in a great place of economic leverage, but they have, internal problems that they need to be solved, and they're probably very willing to make some sacrifices in order to gain some capability to get those situations under control.
Do you suppose that the United States are going to step up as a result of this and do something similar to I guess, set the playing field a little more even?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that comes from and how that, how Western countries respond to this. Obviously, it'll be a mixture of diplomatic and economic action. And, Western countries do export surveillance technologies, but typically they're a lot more limited, and we're a lot more cautious about where we ship these technologies to and the limitations on the purview that we implement when we do export them. So it'll be interesting to see, if the administration sees this as a major threat, and how we're seeing China kind of use this as a lever of power in the region. And if we respond in kind by trying to offer alternatives that maybe don't have some of the same strings attached.
Yeah, I'm looking at this New York Times article about it, and it's this, hey, we're doing you a favor. And so one of the things that they've done is they're showing, at least in China, they're saying, hey, look how great we are to our neighbors. We put on drone shows, and we did kung fu demonstrations, and we donated riot gear, and, look at how great we are. We're training the police, wink, wink, nod, nod. And what they're finally seeing is when they started saying, we want to collect this biometric data from every single household, there were people in the Solomon Islands who were saying, no, that goes too far. That's against our norms. I'm not okay with that. But they're still in place in the Solomon Islands, although they're not now currently collecting that data, but that doesn't mean they won't in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see kind of the mixed public response there, where people are understanding, hey, now in this modern day, data is a commodity, right? It is something that it has inherent value, and that, people offering a free service, and this is a principle that's true, throughout multiple fields, but people who are offering a free or a cheap service in exchange for your data, well, the data is the value that they're getting out of it. The data is actually going to be the end product for them. So, your data is of value, and it should not be given away lightly.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. That was Brandon Amaker, director of the Emerging Tech Policy Lab at UVU. Yeah, it's really interesting. Look, grab your black lights and your glow sticks. We're going to go hunting scorpions. Okay, well, not me. Wait, what? We're going to explain when we come back on our final segment on Inside Sources.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
For hearts that love. For hearts that care. For hearts that comfort. For hearts that heal. We care for them all. At Common Spirit Health, we know that each patient is unique. That's why our cardiology team is committed to caring for every kind of heart. Find heart care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For 3 decades, My 529 has helped families save for future education costs. Since 1996, Utah's official 529 plan has supported students and families along the way. Marketing specialist Jenny Sass joins us with more about their newest program.
This year, My 529, Utah's official 529 plan, celebrates 30 years of helping families save for the cost of higher education. I'd like to introduce Incentivive, a program by My 529 designed specifically for new Utah parents to help develop a college savings habit. Here's how Incentivive works. The family contributes at least $100 every year for the first 5 years to their child's My 529 account. In return, My 529 will contribute $100 annually for the first 4 years and $529 in the 5th year. Participating in the Incentivive program could result in a total incentive contribution of $929 from My 529. It's simple, it's effective, and it's exclusively for Utah families. Visit my529.org for Incentivive sign-up information. Remember, with My 529, you're not just saving money, you're investing in a brighter future.
My 529 helps Utah families achieve their education goals while supporting the state's future. My 529 makes saving for education simple and impactful. Learn more at my529.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Attention commercial property managers. GoPave Utah handles seal coating, crack sealing, striping, and patching across the Wasatch Front. Schedule today at gopavutah.com.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know.
Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits.
Well, we're not actually talking about hunting wabbits. That was Elmer Fudd. We're actually talking about hunting scorpions.
And gross. But in southern Utah, Sand Hollow State Park is hosting a glow-in-the-dark scorpion hunt this Thursday. I will not be participating.
I wonder what it is. Do they glow in the dark? I
No.
wonder what it is.
But so, yes, they do, actually. So here's something new for you that I learned. Scorpions glow under ultraviolet light. And
so that's how you can hunt them.
Scientists don't even know why that's the case, but they do. They glow. So it's not just a regular flashlight. You've got to have a black light, right? So they're doing this scorpion hunt on what they call Leggy Loop Trail. It was 1/4 of a mile last year. This year, they've expanded the trail to 1/2 mile. I'm just like, it does give me the heebie-jeebies. Ugh.
Is it for fun or is
Yeah,
it to eradicate?
no, it's for fun. No, it's just to go see them. Like, you're not supposed to hurt them. Look, I'm going to show you pictures. So,
glow-in-the-dark scorpion.
Yeah,
they
glow in the dark.
What I'm not sure of is you hear that it's like the most poisonous animal on the planet or something, but then they're all over the place. I don't know if anybody's been bit by one that I know, but I don't know how dangerous they truly are.
Well,
I'm not going to find out. I'm not going to go
they
gather
say
them under ultraviolet light.
Yeah, and so my question with that is, are there animals that see in ultraviolet light, so they like the scorpions would show up for them if they were out during the night? I don't know the answer to that question.
And what would have made an animal evolve that way? So
yeah,
that you
what they don't know.
Maybe
right?
so they can find each other.
I don't know. But here's a fun fact about baby scorpions. They're called scorplings. And while I think most baby animals are cute, I don't think baby scorpions are cute.
Yeah.
So they do want you to remember that they're still wild animals. You have to keep your hands to yourself. You have to bring your own ultraviolet light. Like, you're not out to catch them or to touch them or to pet them. These are wild animals, and they do sting you. But Sand Hollow State Park, 9 p.m., park rangers will take you on a glowing scorpion hunt. Okay, not for me.
I'm probably not going to join that, but it could be fun.
Okay, today's fun facts, Greg. Today is Strawberry Rhubarb Pie Day, but it's also another day. What day is it, Greg Skordas?
Today is a special day.
It is.
It's something I've been looking forward to for a long time. And, when the show started today, and at the top of each hour, they say, welcome to the new Inside Sources. I don't know if we're new anymore. Today is our anniversary.
It is.
We've been on the air for 1 year.
1 year.
Today. I think this is very exciting.
1 year. It's very exciting. And, we've been through, in a year, we've been through the shooting of Afa Alu at the No Kings rally. We've been through the unfortunate murder of 2 police officers in Box Elder County. We've been through the Charlie Kirk assassination. We've been through broken bones on your part.
Right.
I mean, all kinds of adventures.
Lost, prophet,
yep.
the church.
Yes, we did. And I flew to Ethiopia for my son's wedding, and they're now expecting their first baby. I had a grandbaby born. I mean, it's been a good year.
Well, you know what? Let's do another one.
Okay, let's do another year.
Let's have another year. I think that's exciting to me.
It's fun.
Thinking about that, we've been together for a year today.
Yeah, a year today. So happy
anniversary
to us. Yep. So it was also on this day in 1869 that Charles E. Hires sold his first root beer. So Hires H, that root beer, 1869. Like, that stuff's been around for a long time.
Do you like root beer?
I do.
I love root beer.
Some kinds. I've had some
it.
where I think it tastes like black pepper, and I don't really like that kind. So, anyway, when I lived in France as a teenager, they didn't really have root beer. They had other kinds of soda like Coke and Pepsi, but root beer was foreign to them, and they thought it tasted like medicine. They were not fans.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was also on this day in 1943 that pay-as-you-go, quote, became authorized, and that was the law that allowed U.S. income tax deductions to be withheld from your paycheck.
1943?
Yeah.
That was like World War II. You'd think we wouldn't be dealing with things like that.
It's the pay-as-you-go, right? Yeah. So they had the income tax was already implemented, but they weren't taking it out of your check as a regular basis. It makes it less painful, it feels like, right? If you never even see it.
Right, yeah.
So 1943.
Just a little pinch.
So it was 1954 that Joseph Welch, who was a special counsel for the U.S. Army, said to Senator Joseph McCarthy, "Have you no decency?" Because he had been seeing communists everywhere, right? And that was the beginning of the end for his conspiracy of the Red Scare. So
was it a congressional hearing?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Have you no sense of decency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was where they finally started to have the dominoes fall, so that people were like, yeah, this was overblown, and no, this is not actually a thing.
Right.
Speaking of dominoes, it was on this day in 1964 that a CIA report challenged President Lyndon B. Johnson's domino theory of foreign policy, which was being used at the time for the basis by which decisions were made about Southeast Asia. Now, the domino theory of foreign policy basically said at the time, if one country falls, like Vietnam, then we're going to have all these other countries that fall in the area, right? And so we have to stop it here so that communism doesn't spread, and we have to stop it here in Vietnam. And the CIA finally said, yeah, no, like, we don't think that that's actually going to happen. So we know how that all turned out.
I never understood the domino theory. There you go.
International relations for the win. It was also on this day in 1978 that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints struck down their 148-year policy of excluding black men from the priesthood. So to me, that's a really important date and an important consideration. And one of the things that I put in my newsletter this morning that I've got to find quickly is really a quote about the current policy of the church. And they disavow racism in all its forms. So it was a change. It held for a long time. It caused a lot of pain to a lot of people. But it was on this day in 1978 that it was finally gone.
You know, there are certain things that happen in your life where you remember where you were when you heard that.
Yep.
And I remember I was an engineer at the U.S. Bureau of Mines, and I was with a guy who was very active, active in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who told me about it. And you know, his take on it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Neither pro nor con, but I remember that moment. I don't know why. I just remember hearing that and thinking
it was
about that.
Yeah. And I was a teenager, and I was living in France, and my parents heard it on the radio, and they actually had to, like, they kind of did a double take, and they're like, "Wait, what?" Yeah. So
how I was.
I want to read this quote that I included. So it's from the official church website. It's in two different places, but church leaders today unequivocally condemn all racism, past and present, in any form. And then in a different spot, they say this: white supremacist attitudes are morally wrong and sinful, and we condemn them. Church members who promote or pursue a white culture or white supremacy agenda are not in harmony with the teachings of the church.
Yeah.
So.
And now we have blacks who are in very prominent positions
Yeah, we
within
do.
the church, which is a good thing.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to talk about a couple of things here. Maybe one thing that sort of goes together with a lot of different theories, and that is we've been thinking in this country about the fact that we have just this administration that has been very effective in being very effective, and having if you think about Congress, we think so much about the fact that they're not doing anything, that they're not standing up, that the president issues these executive orders and nobody ever does anything about them. And he just continues to move down the tracks, which has worked well for him. And I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. But I've seen some checks and balances recently that have really made me feel good about where we are as a society, whether you agree with them or not. We talked about the ICE lawsuit, the lawsuit that was brought by Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County to stop the development of that center. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. But just to think about the fact that, wait a minute, maybe these executive orders, maybe these plans that these administrative agencies are doing ought to be looked at again. We had the data centers in Box Elder and other counties around the state where it's coming down the tracks. The administration's got something going. They've got an agency that's setting it up. And suddenly the people, Holly, are saying, time out. And people that you wouldn't expect necessarily, not necessarily liberals or conservatives, but wait a minute, time out. The anti-weaponization fund gets set up, $1.7 billion, and it's like, okay, wow, what are we going to do about that? Boom, we did something about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the AI centers, we talk about that. Are they a danger? Are they something we need to be careful of? The administration's saying hands off, but the people are saying, maybe we don't want hands off. Maybe we should look at them. And so I'm just encouraged by some things that I'm seeing. Not that I'm critical of the administration, but that I'm encouraged about society and what it's doing right now. Those are just 4 examples of things that have happened just within the last month that you think, okay, the people are standing their ground.
Thank you for your closing arguments. Speaking